Inside the dungeon, a hero named Spectre encountered the boss known as the Frost Queen. She taunted him, accusing him of letting his comrades die just to reach her, but he silenced her. A fierce battle ensued between them. They exchanged powerful strikes and evaded attacks with quick agility. Each obstacle he overcame boosted his confidence, leading him to deliver a devastating blow to the Frost Queen. With her defeat, a bright light flashed before his eyes, and text appeared stating that he was absorbing the Frost Queen's power. He became encased in ice and entered a state of hibernation until he fully absorbed the Frost Queen's nucleus. 25 years later, in the present day of 2024, everyone still remembered Spectre and his comrades as the 5 heroes who had defeated the Frost Queen. After their victory, numerous safe zones emerged on Earth. The heroes were frozen in ice and put on display. However, one observant child noticed movement within one of the frozen statues. The presenter dismissed it, claiming that the reinforced glass wall surrounding the statues was temperature-controlled at all times. To everyone's surprise, the statue of Spectre began to shake the glass wall. Text appeared, congratulating him for absorbing 100% of the Frost Queen's nucleus, and gaining a new skill called Frost X. Confused by all that was happening, Spectre lost consciousness. Spectre, waking up in the hospital, is surprised to learn that he was frozen for a quarter of a century, and his body feels weak. The doctor enters the room and informs him that the president of the Player Association wishes to meet him. Spectre asks if he knows the president, considering that he would only entertain the meeting if they were close friends. The doctor reveals that the president of the Player Association is indeed a close friend of his. Curious about the identity of this friend, Spectrum realizes that there aren't many people who would consider themselves close to him. He contemplates the peaceful world he and his comrades had always longed for, deciding to remove his mask since he believes that this world no longer needs heroes. The doctor is uncertain about how to respond to Spectre's revelation. Soon after, the president of the Player Association arrives to provide an explanation. Spectre is surprised to see a familiar face and asks if the person is Diak-gu, to which the president becomes embarrassed and dismisses everyone else in the room. Addressing Spectre by his real name, Jin-ho, the president notes that he looks exactly the same as before. Jin-ho teases the president, to which president scolds him, and feels stupid for expecting sentimental reunion. Jin-ho then inquires about the doctor's reaction and the reason behind the shocked atmosphere when everything should be fine. The president proceeds to explain the events of the past 25 years. After defeating the Frost Queen and receiving a message proclaiming victory and the appearance of a safe zone, people around the world rejoiced. However, their happiness was short-lived when another message appeared stating that the second floor had been unlocked, revealing that the Frost Queen was only the beginning. Confusion and anger arose among the players, leading to a large meeting involving the Player Association, politicians, and other stakeholders. Following extensive discussions, an expedition squad was dispatched to explore the frontier. The second floor presented abundant opportunities, granting humanity access to new magic, technology, resources, and knowledge. They soon discovered that there were a total of 10 floors. Jin-ho recalls that it took them 5 years to defeat the Frost Queen and estimates that in 25 years, they should have cleared 6 floors, although he acknowledges that the other players were significantly weaker, which is why only 5 of them went to face the Frost Queen. Adjusting his estimation, he assumes they should have reached at least the 5th floor. He asks the president on which floor they are currently on. The president responds with disappointment, confessing that in the last 25 years, humanity has only managed to clear the 2nd floor. Jin-ho becomes disappointed and angry, questioning the reason behind this slow progress. The president explains that the 3rd floor is a volcanic region, and only a few players with resistance to intense heat can explore it. After an extended period, they discovered an altar amidst a sea of lava. However, this altar requires the Frost Queen's nucleus to cool down the environment. Nervously, Jin-ho asks if they found the nucleus. The president, feeling embarrassed, apologizes and reveals that despite searching extensively, they were unable to locate the nucleus. Jin-ho feels guilty because he had observed the nucleus before. He tries to comfort the president, offering reassurance. Subsequently, Jin-ho visits a museum where his friends' statues reside. Sitting down, he shares with them that the world has become a better place now, enjoying a cup of sake with each one. As Jin-ho notices dust on his friend's statue, he attempts to remove it, but a sudden message appears stating, with the Frost X, he can remove the seal, but he has insufficient magic power to do so. Upon seeing this, Jin-ho realizes that he has the ability to bring his friends back. Examining his status bar, Jin-ho realizes that his magic power is currently too low, and it will take some time for it to recover. However, he notices a skill called Frost with an S rank, indicating that he is likely the only one with a higher rank. Additionally, he discovers a title he obtained after defeating the Frost Queen, which increases all his stats by 30 each time he advances to a higher floor. Realizing this, he understands that not only can he return to his original level, but he can also become even stronger than before by harnessing the power of the Frost Queen. This would allow him to bring his team back to life. He informs the president of his desire to become a player again, surprising him since Jin-ho had always talked about retiring in the past. The president hesitates, considering the existence of fiends. These fiends are players who misuse their awakened powers to commit crimes and murder in pursuit of their own desires. They remember that the fiends had wanted to kill Jin-ho in the past. The only way for him to safely return is by discarding his player name, Spectre, and change his identity as Jin-ho. Curious about Jin-ho's motivation, the president asks why he wants to become a player again. Jin-ho explains that he wants to reach the 10th floor and reveals that he has a plan to clear the 3rd floor. He confesses that he has absorbed the Frost Queen's nucleus, leaving the president utterly shocked, causing his blood pressure to rise. After calming down, the president asks if Jin-ho's decision is driven by his comrades. Jin-ho smiles and confirms this. They devise a plan to keep Jin-ho's identity a secret and address the issue of the doctor who saw his face. Jin-ho explains that all his abilities have been sealed, reducing his stats to level 1. He then asks the president to help him obtain a new player's license. However, the president reveals that the guilds have become more powerful than the player association and have made it a custom to attend licensing exams. Therefore, Jin-ho can only obtain his license by participating in a public exam. On the day of the exam, Jin-ho noticed a large number of people gathered to take the test. He sat down and used one of his skills to eavesdrop on the conversations around him, finding a peaceful atmosphere. As he observed the first examinee taking the exam, Jin-ho realized that the person was using a spear. The other examined believed that the examinee would easily pass due to the spear's long-range advantage. However, Jin-ho knew that a spear is ineffective in close combat. Consequently, the first examinee failed as he was beaten by goblins. After numerous examinees failed, it was Jin-ho's turn. The judges were not impressed by the previous applicants. Carrying a variety of weapons with him, Jin-ho entered the exam. The judges thought he was just another imitator of Spectre, and the president felt that he was showing off too much. The exam began, and Jin-ho skillfully killed every goblin that appeared. When additional goblins approached from behind, he swiftly dispatched them with knives. Some enemies tried to flee, but he skillfully eliminated them using a bow. As the remaining goblins rushed toward him, he showcased impressive sword skills, defeating them all. However, his body began to ache, as he was only at level 1 and not in optimal shape. The judges were amazed by Jin-ho's use of various weapons and praised his abilities. However, upon reviewing his profile, they noticed that he only possessed a D-rank weapon proficiency skill. This led them to believe that he was not worth investing in. On the other hand, the president of the association was happy that recruiting Jin-ho would be an easy task. He felt bad for fabricating Jin-ho's profile. In the president's office, Jin-ho is scolded for making a mess of the place. The president then shows him the information on the uncleared gate that Jin-ho had requested. He asks Jin-ho if he plans to enter the gate with his current level. Jin-ho explains that gates are filled with monsters and traps that indiscriminately attack humans. Among them, there are gates that are so dangerous that even the bodies of experienced players are left behind. These gates are called uncleared gates, and only beginners can attempt to conquer them. The rewards and experience points inside the gate increase over time, providing a faster way to level up. The president asks if there is any safe way to undertake this challenge. Jin-ho responds that his friends are waiting for him to free them, and he will eventually have to face the fiends. There is no time to waste, he needs to become stronger quickly. Understanding Jin-ho's urgency, the president searches for suitable uncleared gates for him. They choose a gate that appeared 7 years ago and remains uncleared. The only condition for success is to survive until sunrise. With this, Jin-ho becomes officially tied to the association and requests permission to stay in the association building. The president allows him to stay in a room there, and provides him with armor crafted by Kwan Noya, a legendary craftsman. Jin-ho asks if he can personally thank Kwan Noya, but the president reminds him that he is no longer known as Spectre, and people would become suspicious if he were to do so. Jin-ho puts on his armor and decides to enter the dungeon. Jin-ho confidently enters the gate, assuming it will be easy to survive until sunrise. He studies the data and discovers that the group who entered early in the morning had the longest survival time. Jin-ho patiently waits until the enemies spawn. As undead creatures appear, he swiftly eliminates them. Jin-ho activates a skill that helps him sense the presence of enemies, and he realizes there are many more of them. The zombies launch an attack, but Jin-ho skillfully defeats each one. After the intense battle, he takes a moment to rest. Suddenly, Jin-ho hears a voice asking for help. He traces the source to a coffin and inquires about the person inside. The individual explains that all of his friends have died, and he is the sole survivor. Jin-ho instructs him to shout loudly so he can pinpoint the exact location. Following the shout, Jin-ho locates the person's head and begins shooting through the coffin. He understands why this dungeon has claimed the lives of over 100 people. It is because of the monsters called Tricker inside the coffin. It bursts out, exclaiming, "How did you know?" Without giving it a chance to react, Jin-ho swiftly cuts it in half. He proceeds to eliminate the remaining zombies and successfully clears the dungeon. A message appears, indicating that Jin-ho has cleared the dungeon and advanced to level 4. As a reward, he acquires a new C-rank skill called Confessions of the Dead, which allows him to explore the memories of the dead. Jin-ho was excited about future. The world was shocked to discover that the infamous novice's grave, Curse of Dawn, had vanished overnight. The president was elated that the big guilds were being ignored. He asked Jin-ho once again if he had any intention of revealing himself, to which Jin-ho replied that it wasn't the right time. He wanted to be someone everyone desired but couldn't easily obtain, and eventually, people would figure out who he truly was. Jin-ho dedicated himself to training and improving his stats. While looking at the news, he came across an uncleared gate called Luf's Garden that had appeared 9 years ago, with monsters emerging from it. The government and association offered a substantial reward to anyone who could clear the gate, but despite many attempts across the country, nobody succeeded. Eventually, they had to seek help from other countries and spent a fortune to hire a super rookie from India named Tushar Vishy, who was a Bao genius. However, even Tushar Vishy, at 22 years old, failed, leaving everyone without hope. Jin-ho decided to be more cautious and prepared for any hidden threats that might lurk within the gate. He began using his frost skill. Upon entering the gate, the condition for clearing it was to defeat all the monsters. Jin-ho encountered a maze and wisely chose to avoid it for now. He found a place to rest, but as night fell, monsters started to appear and attacked him. With swift movements, Jin-ho killed the monsters. However, he soon noticed that more monsters were appearing, and he continued to eliminate them. He then realized that they were multiplying as he killed them. As Jin-ho runs, the monsters launch an attack, but he quickly defends himself with his ice shield. Skillfully, he defeats all the monsters, successfully clearing Luf's garden. However, he is left wondering how someone as skilled as Tushar Vishy, a super rookie, and his teammates couldn't defeat these monsters. Why did they fail? Curiosity gets the better of Jin-ho, and he decides to enter the maze. Inside, he comes across the corpses of dead players, including Tushar's. He recalls that Tushar possessed the Tempest Bow, which allowed arrows to fly around in a unique manner. Among the corpses, Jin-ho finds a notebook that belonged to Tushar. Intrigued, he picks it up and starts reading. In the notebook, Tushar recounts being commissioned to clear a gate in Korea, knowing that he might not return alive. However, without any hesitation, he accepted the challenge. Tushar's girlfriend, Zaya, asked him to take her along, and they promised to look out for each other. In addition to Zaya, one of her friends and one of Tushar's friends also joined the expedition. They enter the gate, and everyone is amazed by the beautiful scenery. However, at night, 8 monsters appear, and they start fighting them. To their surprise, the monsters multiply to 32 during the battle. Tragically, Tushar's friend gets severely injured, and they decide to seek refuge in the maze. Despite their efforts, Tushar's friend passes away, leaving a final request for Tushar to take care of his daughter. Before the next wave arrives, he prays for mercy. Somehow, they manage to defeat the 4th wave of 120 monsters, with the 5th wave approaching soon. Tushar remains determined to clear the gate, but exhaustion and grief begin to take a toll, and they hope there won't be a 6th wave. During the 5th wave, Tushar's lover tragically dies, breaking his heart. Shockingly, one of his team members attacks him from behind, but Tushar narrowly dodges the assault. He realizes that the attacker is a fiend. The fiend confesses that he was after Tushar's Tempest Bow. Unbeknownst to the fiend, more monsters are spawning behind him. Tushar manages to escape, leaving the fiend to face the wrath of the monsters he unknowingly attracted. Tushar hides in the maze, but his injuries worsen, and he reaches a dead end. He knows his time is limited and writes a diary detailing what happened, apologizing to anyone who finds it. Jin-ho, after reading the diary, realizes that the number of monsters scales with the number of players entering the gate. He understands that he was able to clear the gate because he entered alone, and it would have been much more difficult if he had a team. Jin-ho takes the diary and Tushar's Tempest Bow with him, making a promise to take revenge on the fiends. After returning from the gate, the president passed on a message to Jin-ho, thanking him for returning Tushar's diary to the Indian government and informing them about the families. Jin-ho felt relieved knowing that the right action was taken. The president mentioned the Tempest Bow, but Jin-ho already had it with him and showed it to him. The president goes crazy, as the bow belonged to the Indian government, and Jin-ho should have kept it hidden. Jin-ho assured him that he won't use it carelessly. He believed that the fiends were after the bow, and their boss would come for it, knowing that Jin-ho had cleared the gate. The president warned Jin-ho about a guy named Demon Bao Cal Singer, known for collecting bows, who might come after him. However, Jin-ho was confident that they would come for him at the next uncleared gate. Despite the president's worry, Jin-ho planned to use the bow as bait to capture the fiends. Their discussion was interrupted by a call from the media, requesting an interview with Jin-ho after discovering that he cleared Luff's garden. The president wanted to send them away, but Jin-ho stopped him, suggesting they hold a press conference to announce which gate he will go to next, luring the fiends into a fight. During the press conference, Jin-ho appeared in casual clothes, rejecting the need to dress up like his past persona, Spectre. He introduced himself, and answered some questions. When asked about his choice of the next gate, Jin-ho revealed that he wanted to enter the Eastern Sea Gate. The announcement shocked everyone present. After announcing his next gate, the Eastern Sea Gate, Jin-ho assured everyone that he would win even if he faced with a boss monster. The gate was the last uncleared dungeon in Korea, and rumors suggested that a powerful boss resided within. Together, the president and Jin-ho looked through the commission requests he had received. They settled on one where a father wants the cure for his terminally ill daughter, requiring the core of a cinder fox. Jin-ho recalled battling one before, an encounter that nearly cost him his life. The president presented the information about the gate, revealing that it had already claimed the lives of 7 teams. Jin-ho realized that this mission would be more challenging than before, especially with other teams also attempting it. The president disclosed that the one who commissioned the request was his friend, Seo Choi Pil-ho of the Manhwa group. He introduced Jin-ho to his new secretary and manager, Chae Sai-yoon. Understanding that it would seem suspicious if the president continued to handle everything for him, Jin-ho agreed to take on the request. On their way to meet the client, Chae Si-yoon explained the family's situation. The daughter suffered from 9-in severance syndrome, and one of the potential treatments involved using the core of a fox. She mentioned that the person who verified its effectiveness 29 years ago was none other than Spectre himself, which made Jin-ho feel embarrassed, not revealing his identity. Upon arrival, Choi Pil-ho personally greeted them, bowing and pleading for Jin-ho's help to save his daughter. After arriving to meet the client, Choi Pil-ho, he offered Jin-ho a payment of 15 billion won and promised to provide everything he needed from his company. Chae Si-yoon thought it was a generous offer and believed Jin-ho would accept. However, Jin-ho declined immediately, and when Pil-ho raised the amount, Jin-ho stopped him and said that 10 billion won was enough. When Yoon asked for his reason, he replied that he shared the same principles as Spectre, believing that one shouldn't take advantage of someone who is trying to save their family. After they left, Chae Si-yoon asked if Jin-ho had heard the story about Spectre from the president, to which he confirmed. She then asked if he believed it, and Jin-ho replied that he did, knowing that Spectre had witnessed the death of his own parents, and wouldn't want others to experience the same pain. Later, the president took Jin-ho to the vault to choose his weapon for fighting the Cinder Fox. Jin-ho learned that in the last 25 years, technology had significantly improved, resulting in better materials and weapons. He tried several weapons but was unimpressed, stating that they would be useless against true predators. However, he noticed a sword in the corner, and though the president believed it to be useless, Jin-ho showed him that sword is not useless. The next day, outside the gate, a large group of media people had gathered. Chae Si-yoon informed Jin-ho that 27 players would enter the gate before them. Jin-ho reminded her that after today, they would receive lots of commissions. As Jin-ho appeared, the media surrounded him, bombarding him with questions. Other players also discussed him among themselves. Eventually, everyone entered the gate. Inside, one player introduced himself as Cham Min-woo, a member of the 13th rank in Korea. He proposed that they work together to clear the gate, offering a commission while he would claim the core as a clear award. The group agreed to his plan, but Jin-ho walked away and declined the invitation to join them. Another player beside Min-woo thought that the rumors about Jin-ho being a genius were exaggerated and that fighting alone was a bad decision. The Cinder Fox was a boss monster that grew 9 tails over 1,000 years. Once it grew all its tails, it would become a Millennium Fox, gaining the ability to command more soldiers. Jin-ho found a spot to scout and observe the other group. Meanwhile, the other group started getting attacked by firefoxes. They activated their traps and managed to fend off the attackers, gaining confidence in their weapons. Suddenly, the Cinder Fox appeared, enraged by its minions' defeat. One of the members noticed its 9 tails and was shocked. Cham Min-woo tried to rally the team, but some were already scared. He remained confident in their traps' effectiveness and believed he would kill the Cinder Fox, surpassing Spectre. In the next scene, everyone lay on the floor, injured and defeated. Cham Min-woo couldn't believe that none of their weapons or strategies had worked against the Cinder Fox. He thought it was impossible to defeat the monster. The Cinder Fox prepared to shoot a fireball to finish off Cham Min-woo, but just in time, Jin-ho arrived and sliced the fireball in half. Jin-ho told Min-woo to take the survivors and leave so that he could properly face the fox. The fox attacked Jin-ho with fireballs. Not wanting him to get close, he blocked some of the attacks with his ice shield, as he was trying to get close. Cinder Fox attacked him with a giant fireball. The fox noticed him inside the smoke and attacked. Jin-ho dodged by jumping into the air and used his ice as a foothold to get close to the monster, and slashed one of its tails off, which weakened Fox. Jin-ho taunted the monster as it was its first time being in pain, and it never imagined being the prey as it already killed many players. Cinder Fox attacked with a claw and Jin-ho countered by attacking one of its eyes as it was preparing for another giant fire. Jin-ho pierced it with a huge ice spike, killing it instantly. Jin-ho collapsed after the fight. A message showed that the Cinder Fox has been defeated, and he received the Cinder Fox's core as a reward. Outside the gate, everyone was excited to see them come out. Min-woo was carrying Jin-ho on his back, and the press assumed that Min-woo and his team had finished the gate. However, Min-woo told them the truth about what really happened inside the gate. In the hospital, Jin-ho woke up with Chae Si-yoon beside him. She informed him that they had received a lot of requests while he was unconscious. Jin-ho wasn't surprised and left the room to find the president. Chae Si-yoon tried to stop him, concerned that he hadn't fully recovered yet. Jin-ho reassured her, saying that he had only fainted and would rest after they saw the real patient, Choi Pilho's daughter. Pilho led Jin-ho to his daughter's room to begin the treatment. Upon entering, Jin-ho realized that the girl's condition was dire, so he had to act quickly. He removed the core, but he forgot that the core's power could be dangerous for ordinary people. He hurriedly sent Pilho out of the room. Jin-ho began the treatment, and he noticed that the girl's condition was even worse than the previous patient he had cured. He attempted to use the core cautiously, and to his surprise, a message appeared indicating that he could absorb yin energy using the frost skill, which would boost his magic stats. Jin-ho realized that the frost skill had become incredibly versatile, lacking weaknesses in both attack and defense, and it could now absorb energy. He carefully absorbed the yin energy from the girl and remembered that previous patients had experienced significant burdens after core usage. However, with the frost skill, it seemed much safer. After a while, Jin-ho emerged, exhausted but confident that there would be no side effects, assuring Pilho of his daughter's recovery. Pilho expressed his gratitude and intended to increase the payment, but he knew Jin-ho would decline. Instead, he offered the assistance of the manga group in the future, which was the #1 company in Korea. Choi Pilho's eldest son was the guild master of the Scarlet Tower, ranked 5th in the country. Jin-ho thanked him and promised not to tarnish the manga group's reputation. On their way back, Jin-ho expressed his gratitude to Chae Si-yoon for a job well done. In the president's office, Jin-ho presented the Cinder Fox core to the president, and explained that he hadn't used it on Pilho's daughter because he had absorbed the yin energy using his frost skill. The president was surprised by this revelation. Jin-ho then informed the president that he could absorb yin energy from any target and asked for his assistance in finding artifacts with yin energy. Jin-ho also decided to visit the black market to search for such artifacts. He entered a theater and used a secret teleportation feature in one of the seats to access the black market. Upon arriving at the black market, Jin-ho observed the liveliness of the place. Some people recognized him and tried to intimidate him, but when Jin-ho told them to move, they backed down. He was surprised at how easily they yielded. Inside a shop, an attendant recognized him and directed him to the shelves of artifacts. Jin-ho spotted some low-level energy items but asked the attendant to show him the room with the best items, revealing a cursed item with a frost attribute. Jin-ho decided to put it on and observed that it increased speed, stamina, and magic. It had an intermediate level of frost energy, making him happy that he could gain as much magic as last time. Jin-ho purchased the item and left. He entered a bar to use the teleportation service to return to Korea, but he had to wait for 10 minutes. 3 players approached him, attempting to intimidate him and ride on his fame. Jin-ho laughed at their attempts, referring to them as leeches who bullied weaker players to boost their own reputations. He invited them to attack him, drawing the attention of others in the bar who recognized him. The gang disregarded the crowd's opinion, driven by their desire for fame. Jin-ho pulled out a knife. Jin-ho moved closer to the gang, declaring it was ample time to play. The gang mocked him for his choice of weapon, but Jin-ho assured them it was sufficient to deal with pests, and that he didn't need his sword. One of the gang members attacked him, but Jin-ho dodged the strike and delivered a powerful elbow to the guy's face, rendering him unconscious. The onlookers were taken aback. The other gang member, a magic user, he conjured his magic confidently, but Jin-ho swiftly closed the distance, breaking the man's arm without hesitation. The magic user was bewildered and frightened, attacking with magic again. Jin-ho revealed his ability to read an opponent's breath, deftly parrying the attacks, and then impaled the attacker's hand on the wall. Jin-ho warned them not to cross his path again, and the remaining gang member agreed. Jin-ho headed for the teleportation, while the onlookers cheered him on. Jin-ho found it peculiar that these people were behaving as if they were in a game. Meanwhile, inside a car, a group of individuals observed Jinho's fight in the black market. One of them, known as Princess, displayed a keen interest in him. On the street, Jinho grew irritated as fans approached for pictures. However, one person stood out in the crowd, Gong Yuha, whom Jinho recognized as the Kibi's princess. Jinho knew that he was being scouted by the big guilds. He was relieved to escape the cafe's crowd and its attention. Gong Yuha complained about the heat, which struck Jinho as odd since she had fire abilities. She explained that she liked cold things, which puzzled him and raised doubts about her true identity as the Kibi princess. Gong Yuha asked Jinho to join their guild, stating that the vice master had sent her to scout him, and he had passed in terms of combat and potential. This intrigued her further, and she presented the incentives he'd receive upon joining. Jinho marveled at the rewards but declined, citing his reluctance to be tied to the guild's orders and missions. Gong Yuha understood his stance and warned him of the escalating fiend activity, even on the first floor. Jinho thanked her as she departed. In the office, Jinho informed President Duke about Gong Yuha's offer. President Duke questioned if Jinho would regret not joining a guild that could be more helpful to him. Jinho expressed his concern about the guild's strictness, and President Duke was moved by his loyalty, offering him an entire floor to stay in. Jinho also requested that the Eastern Gate conquest be set for a week from then to bait the fiends. News of Jinho's impending raid on the Eastern Seagate began to spread. Calciner watched and ordered his minion to retrieve the Tempest Bow from Jinho. Calciner sensed he was being watched, an issue that stemmed from Sword Saint Jia. Curious if the fiends would take the bait, Jinho became suspicious of the Shadow Brothers who joined him as medics. He asked Che Sayun for information about them, using his darkness skill to expand its reach for better magic training. He reviewed the gate's information, discovering it was named the Eastern Gate, Island of the Forgotten Dragon, with the clear condition of defeating the nameless dragon. He pondered how to deal with dragons without flying skills. Upon receiving information about the Shadow Brothers from Che Sayun, Jinho discovered that Vincent and Edward from America were veterans with 200 successful missions, both specializing in shadow skills. They admired Jinho and sought to help him clear Korea's last uncleared dungeon. On the day of the raid, a large crowd gathered outside the gate. In the car, President Duke scolded Jinho for not focusing on the mission. Jinho assured him that he had defeated the Ice Queen and wouldn't be easily killed by the nameless dragon. President Duke worried that the Shadow Brothers might be working with the fiends and contemplated calling off the raid, but Jinho reassured him that he had a plan. The Shadow Brothers greeted and praised Jinho, surprised when he replied in English. They entered the gate, and one of the brothers attempted to attack Jinho but missed, feeling Jinho's aura and hesitating. The brothers planned to find another chance to attack him while searching for the dragon. Suddenly, a massive shadow engulfed them, the Forgotten Dragon boss. They realized Jinho had vanished. Vincent attempted to distract the boss while Edward went to find Jinho, suspecting him to be the shadow. Edward attacked, but the shadow dissipated, and Jinho revealed himself, warning Edward to hide his scarlet eyes. Edward denied being a fiend, and Jinho explained the consequences of drinking demon blood and the use of mage. Edward attacked Jinho with his shadows, intending to strike his legs, but Jinho used his night-walking skill to disappear. Edward was terrified, surrounded by Jinho's darkness. Vincent struggled with the dragon, while Edward fled from the jungle, exclaiming that Jinho had hidden his strength. Vincent scolded him for falling for Jinho's bluffs and planned to attack the dragon's weakness, the reverse scale. The dragon attacked them, and Vincent summoned Edward to remove the reverse scale. However, this enraged the dragon, and it attacked them relentlessly. Vincent and Edward planned to divert the dragon's attention to Jinho, but their efforts failed. Jinho created arrows from darkness, firing them into the sky. They rained down on the dragon, causing it to collapse, immobilized. The Shadow Brothers were astonished, and Jinho revealed the Tempest Bow. One of the brothers attacked Jinho, who swiftly decapitated him. The second brother attacked in a frenzy, and Jinho killed him by stabbing him, remarking that they should repent in their next life. Jinho approached the nameless dragon and delivered the final blow. He decided to inspect the bodies of the two fiends, using his confession skill to read their memories. He saw their crimes, paused as he realized he had killed them too quickly, and sought information on the Fiends Association. His skill couldn't extract complete memories due to its low level, but he saw the man who had granted the brothers their powers. Then, he used the skill to read the dragon's memories, learning that it had once been a human emperor. Jinho felt guilty for killing his ancestor, paid his respects, and watched the dragon's soul ascend. This earned him the title, Helper of Ascension, and a unique item, the Flute of Tidal Breath. Returning from the gate, a press conference awaited. The media discussed the danger of the gates and the death of the Shadow Brothers. Jinho cried, blaming himself for their sacrifice. Calciner watched and planned to send watchdogs to the Las Vegas auction. At the office, Junho found himself overwhelmed by the numerous commission requests he had received. He felt confused, especially since he had mentioned in a conference that the Shadow Brothers did most of the work to clear the gate. Chaseyun, one of his colleagues, offered some wisdom, saying that luck is also a skill and recommended that he get a haircut. Junho, appreciating her advice, allowed her to leave early. She left with a smile, reminding him to get a haircut on his way out. As Junho walked outside, he couldn't help but think that wearing his mask made everything simpler. He decided to visit a comic library, where he discovered that there were no other visitors. Feeling a bit more at ease, he removed his mask and prepared to sit at his usual spot. However, his plans were interrupted when he saw a girl already sitting there, and to his surprise it was Chae Sai-yun. Both of them were taken aback by this unexpected encounter. Chae Sai-yun looked at him, and reassured him that there was nothing wrong with reading manhwa. Junho playfully teased her about the title of the manhwa she was reading, which caused her to get a bit irritated. She then inquired about his book, and Junho replied that his choice wasn't any better. Junho remarked on his surprise at seeing her in a manhwa cafe, considering she appeared to be one of the elites. However, she explained her love for the place, where she could find solace and enjoy the scent of old books. Junho agreed with her sentiments. After a friendly farewell, Junho couldn't help but be impressed by Chae Sai-yun's work ethic and decided he should put in more effort as well. Later, Junho informed Duke about his plan to go to the United States to find the Fiend's meeting place. He handed over dragon bones and asked Duke to deliver the rest to Quan Noya for making a sword. As Junho lay on his bed, he asked Chae Sai-yun to arrange a plane ticket to Las Vegas. He looked at his items and stats, realizing that it wouldn't be long before he could use sword aura and venture into the second and third floors. He wondered how strong the top players had become after 25 years. Upon arriving in Las Vegas, Junho complained about the tiring plane ride, reminiscing about the days when teleportation made travel easier. He quickly looked up the Fiend's meeting place, and resolved to finish his mission swiftly for some well-deserved rest. At the meeting place, two Fiends discussed the watchdogs and how they had been responsible for their boss's demise. 3 watchdogs arrived and inquired about their new orders. Upon learning that their mission had changed, they expressed their disappointment at not heading to the second floor. The watchdog's leader reviewed the orders, then burned them to ensure no traces remained. As the watchdogs departed, the two Fiends breathed a sigh of relief. Arma, the skeletal mage, had a notorious reputation, including the massacre in Turkey. Junho arrived and swiftly dispatched the two Fiends, lamenting their lack of useful information. He called Duke and asked for assistance in securing a ticket to participate in the Las Vegas auction. Junho visited the auction venue to familiarize himself with the surroundings. When Junho attempted to enter the casino, he was initially blocked by the guards, but one of them recognized him from when they had tried to recruit him alongside Gong Yuha. Junho was curious about their presence in Las Vegas and learned that they worked as security for the casino. He inquired about the reason for the alarm ringing when he attempted to enter the casino, and Inho explained that players were not allowed on the regular casino floor, as their abilities could lead to significant losses for the establishment. Instead, there was a separate casino for players where the dealers were also players themselves. Junho, surprised to see Gong Yuha, how badly she was losing, sat down beside her. Gong Yuha was surprised and questioning whether Junho had changed his mind about becoming her underling. Junho clarified that he was there for the auction and sought to explore the event further. Gong Yuha revealed her role as the head of security at the hotel, and they chatted while Junho marveled at her ability to gamble while working. The two engaged in a gambling game, where Gong Yuha advised Junho not to go all in and to get used to the dealer's speed. He was curious about why she kept losing despite her familiarity with the game. They continued to play, and eventually, Junho's luck turned as he won a round. And she stated that it was a beginning's luck. Two players approached them and Junho recognized them as Watchdogs members. He decided to keep playing to observe and potentially uncover information about the fiends. With more players joining, the dealer increased the number of cups to 5, and they continued to play. The dealer's actions were closely watched. But Junho and the fiend pointed at same cup and it was right. Junho thought that the male fiend will be the harder to deal with. He shared a mysterious artifact resembling a compass, saying that President Duke had lent it to him, and it would help him locate specific individuals when using mana. Gong Yuha got curious. Junho used the artifact, and it pointed in the direction of the watchdogs. Junho acted surprised and excused himself to the bathroom. The male watchdog member, believing the artifact allowed Junho to track fiends, followed him into an alley. There, Junho cleverly lured the watchdog into a trap. Then Junho broke the compass and fiend was confused and understood it wasn't a real artifact. He asked Junho if he lured him here and how much Junho knew about them. Junho told him about their schedule tomorrow. The fiend attacked Junho, and Junho was surprised at his speed and wondered if he is an accelerator user. The fiend was confident and told Junho that he can't dodge the next attack. Junho baited him to attack by closing his eyes. He attacked but missed. The fiend's arm was already frozen. Junho mocked him that speed is useless if he was predictable. The fiend attacked again, and Junho froze his other arm and gave the finishing blow. And obtained critical information about the watchdog's plans and schedule. Meanwhile, back at the watchdog's hideout, the two remaining members discussed their missing comrade. Their leader, Arma, showed her a list of players currently in Las Vegas and identified Junho as a potential threat. Arma realized that Junho was affiliated with the Shadow Brothers, raising concerns about his intentions. He designated Junho as a threat and decided to find a way to eliminate him during the auction. Junho proceeded to the auction, where Gong Yuha was astonished by the presence of numerous famous figures. She found her seat but was surprised to see Junho. She reminded him that seats were reserved and he couldn't just sit anywhere. Junho showed her his VIP invitation, leaving her surprised by his apparent connection to powerful individuals. She inquired about how he obtained the ticket, and he explained that President Duke had arranged it for him. Gong Yuha suspected Junho might be the president's proxy. Junho realized Duke's motive for sending him the expensive suit and planned to interrogate him upon his return. She emphasized her commitment to her job as a professional. Their conversation shifted as they observed the auction items. Gong Yuha was actively bidding on cold attribute items, Junho to remind her of her professional responsibilities. She teased him about his reluctance to make any purchases, and Junho eventually bought a necklace. When she probed whether it was for his girlfriend, he clarified that he didn't have one. She then suggested it might be for his mother, but he revealed that his mother had passed away, leading to a moment of sympathy. The auction continued with an item called the Unknown Ball, which captured Junho's curiosity due to his keen intuition. Others speculated about the item's mysterious nature, as it had remained unsolved for 20 years. Despite not knowing why his intuition reacted to it, Junho decided to bid on the item. The next item, Heaven's Breathe, piqued his interest, and Gong Yuha explained its price would depend on the country leader's spending capacity. During the auction, an unexpected attack occurred, causing panic among the attendees. One of the bodyguards swiftly created a protective shield, saving everyone from falling debris. Impressed by the guard's quick reaction, Junho noted the chaos and speculated which fiend might be responsible for summoning skeletons. Junho offered assistance, and Gong Yuha took command, issuing orders to evacuate the audience and protect the auction items. As Gong Yuha tried to manage the situation, she realized that Junho had already left. The attendees were in a hurry as they attempted to escape through the small doors. Gong Yuha decided to create an exit by punching a hole in the wall. In the midst of the chaos, an unexpected hole appeared, and a bullet struck one of her guards, causing the protective shield to collapse. As she witnessed the arrival of skeletons, Gong Yuha engaged in combat, demonstrating her exceptional abilities as a special attribute user. A member of the Watchdogs observed her incredible power, acknowledging her as one of the strongest special attribute users, possessing the rank of S, as the ruler of flames. She decided not to engage Gong Yuha directly. Arma inquired if she had obtained the item and instructed her to proceed to point B immediately. Despite her disappointment at not being able to eliminate Junho, she suddenly spotted him in the distance. Filled with excitement, she took aim, intending to take him out swiftly. She utilized her skill to teleport a bullet close to Junho's head, but to her disbelief, he easily dodged it. Frustrated, she took another shot. Junho, observing the portals created by her skill, swiftly activated his shadow step ability, disappearing from her line of sight. She was taken aback, realizing that even rankers couldn't evade her attacks. She soon noticed the direction in which he was headed, but it was too late. Junho was behind her and froze her legs, evoking terror. In a trembling voice, she asked him who he was. Junho replied that it didn't matter, as the watchdogs would vanish tonight. Amidst the chaos, Heaven's Breath went missing. Gong Yuha wondered if the skeleton mage had taken it, but Gong Yuha couldn't comprehend how it had disappeared. The armor the skeletons wore was identical to those of individuals who had gone missing 3 years prior, reminding her of the disappearance case on the second floor. They concluded that the missing players and the skeletons shared a connection. Meanwhile, Junho accessed the watchdog's memory to gather insights into their plans and their meeting location. Following the mission's completion, he didn't obtain extensive information about the Fiend Association. Arma, the watchdog's leader, had been controlling them. Junho made a strategy to confront Arma and considered that charging recklessly into the hideout with traps might not be the best approach. Junho noticed the Fiend's watch and devised a plan. Arma received a message indicating that one of his subordinates was being followed. He inquired about the item they had been carrying, and the subordinate confirmed, saying they hid the item in an alley and left a mark while aware that he was still being pursued. He grew curious about the identity of the person following him and decided to check the location mentioned in the message. Sensing the item in a trash can, Arma retrieved Heaven's Breath but was shocked when it suddenly exploded, freezing his arm. Arma realized he had fallen into a trap. Arma summoned his skeletons, preparing to face Junho. However, Junho spawned behind him swiftly and inflicted a fatal blow. With Arma's death, the skeletons at the auction vanished, leaving Gong Yuha to ponder whether the mage had recalled them or if he had been defeated. Junho gained levels after eliminating Arma, reflecting on how close he had come to being in Arma's position if he hadn't fallen for the trap. He accessed Arma's memory, witnessing the recruitment of the Fiends and Arma's rise to leadership within the Watchdogs. He also learned about the Fiend's ultimate goal, which was to dominate the tower, but his skill wasn't sufficient to recall all the memories. Enraged by the revelation that the Fiends turned orphans into fiends, treating them as expendable resources, Junho vowed to stop them from creating more victims like Arma. He also wondered if the man he saw in the memories was not Sid Hollow. Back in the auction hall, Gong Yuha was frustrated by their inability to locate Heaven's Breath. She vented her anger, lamenting that if it weren't for the fiends, she would have been sleeping peacefully. A guard approached her, informing her that a gift had been left for her by a fan. He hinted that the contents of the gift might come as a shock. As Gong Yuha opened it, she initially believed it to be a fantastic replica, but the guard confirmed that it was the original item. Her surprise escalated when she discovered a note within the gift. The note revealed that the skeleton mage and 2 fiends had been dealt with, Heaven's Breath had been retrieved, and the location of the skeleton mage's corpse was disclosed. The note was signed by a fan, leaving Gong Yuha both bewildered and curious about the identity of this mysterious benefactor. She expressed her desire to meet this person to the guard, but he explained that they hadn't found any leads from the area where the corpse was discovered. He speculated that the individual behind this act might be a professional, or at least a ranker. Junho entered the scene, catching their attention. She scolded him for leaving during an emergency, and he had run away like he did at the casino. Gong Yuha informed him about a mysterious gift she had received from a fan who had managed to retrieve Heaven's Breath, which had gone missing during the attack. She was curious to meet this fan and was convinced that they were a powerful individual, possibly a ranker. As the auction had concluded, Gong Yuha asked him why he was still there, and he mentioned his intention to pick up the items that he won at auction. She mentioned that the next time they crossed paths, it would probably be on the 2nd floor. She said if he managed to ascend to the 2nd floor within half a year, she would reward him with a present. However, if he couldn't, he would have to fulfill her wish. Junho was well aware that her request would likely involve him joining their guild, but he accepted the challenge. They sealed their agreement with a firm handshake. He got the 2 items he bought, the unknown ball and the necklace. He was still curious why his keen intuition skill reacts to the ball. He used magic on it but nothing happened. He kept it in his inventory and used magic on it from time to time. He arrived in Korea and was picked up by Chae Sayun. Junho was thankful that she came to pick him up. She told him that it was part of her job, then asked him if they were going straight to the association. He remembered something and gave her a present. Junho said that he didn't know what to buy, so he just looked for a book and wasn't sure if she will like it, and that it was the only one left. She was happy and said she looked everywhere for a copy but it was already sold out. Junho told her to wake him up when they arrive at the association. In the president's office, Junho told Duke what he found out during his Las Vegas trip. Duke was angered and drank the alcohol. He calmed down, and Duke told him Kwan Noya was looking for him. He said that the sword that he requested will be finished tomorrow, and wanted to give it to him in person. Duke assured that with Junho's current career there will be no suspicion even if they meet. Junho agreed. Duke told him to go tomorrow. Junho decided to take a rest. Junho arrived at Kwan Noya's shop and thought it was the same as it was 25 years ago. He entered and saw Kwan Noya's grandson on the forge and couldn't believe it was the same kid that he knew back then. He leads Junho to his grandfather. Noya couldn't believe after seeing him, as it was hard to see him around. Junho smiled and said, "It's been a while?" The grandson was confused, knowing that this was their first meeting. Noya asked his grandson to serve agarathi for Junho. Junho praised the grandson's skill, but Noya said he still has a lot to learn. Junho joked that why has he not welcomed him back. Noya patted him on the shoulder and said he had already gone through a lot. Noya asked him why he came back as a player. Junho showed him the frost power he acquired, and Noya knew it was the Frost Queen's skill. He explained that he can save his teammates with it. Junho reminded Noya that they made a contract together a long time ago, and Noya said with a serious face that his contract was with Spectre, not with a newbie named Seo Junho. Junho was stupefied. Noya laughed, as he was just joking with him, and wanted to see his stupid face since it's been a while. Junho thought Noya called him there to make fun of him. Noya showed him the sword he made. Noya says he wielded the hammer for him, and Junho wields the sword for Noya. That was their promise. Junho held the sword and thought it was perfect. Noya explained that he mixed new materials and the durability is better. Junho checked the sword stat, and saw it was called the Black Dragon Fang. A unique great item. He compared it with the swords that he used from the association's storage and found it was on a different level. Noya said he has gotten even better after 25 years and invited him to play Go. Junho was surprised as Noya had never beaten him before in Go. Noya shouted, saying that he was far better now. The tea arrived and Junho was surprised, as he hasn't tasted this kind of tea before, and asked Noya what is it. Noya offered to tell him if he beats him at Go. Junho smiled and agreed. After a while Noya was fuming after losing to Junho. Junho calmed him down and reminded him about the tea. Noya explained about the second floor race. They are monsters that resembled humans like orcs and elves. He said that they have changed since the second floor opened and that they are intelligent enough to communicate with humans. Junho asked if even orcs can communicate with them. Noya confirmed, but not all second races can do it. Junho asked why he brought them up. Noya said that the agility came from the elves. Junho thought if he can get to the second floor then he can get some of the tea. Noya scoffed because unless he finds intelligent elves and make a connection with them, he can't get it for even 1 billion gold. Junho asked Noya if he knows something about the unknown ball he got from the auction. Noya scolded him that he is not a sage and doesn't know everything. But he knew it was an elven item and was sure because he met an elder of an elf tribe before and felt the same energy from the ball. Noya suggested he goes someplace where he can meet elves. Junho bid his farewell. The grandson gave him some agarite as Noya told him and said his grandfather must really like him. In the car chase, Ayun informed him about a gate in England where dark elves appear. The gate is called Wild Forest and asked if he was interested. Junho said yes. She continued that even players all over the world are gathering. Junho asked for the info on the gate, and it is located in Grantham, England, and the goal is to kill the Dark Elves tribe leader. Party of capacity of gate is 200 people. Calciner was furious after finding out that the watchdogs have been annihilated. The minion thinks that we're caught in a trap while trying to take care of Junho. As they were talking, Natsude Halo arrived and asked him if Seo Junho killed his disciple. Calciner's answer was unsure. Natsude Halo slammed him on the wall as he didn't like his answer. Calciner begged for a chance, and he will bring Junho to him. Natsude Halo released him and give him half a year to bring Junho to him. Calciner reasoned that he can't bring Junho to the second floor as Junho needed to be at least level 30, and there was no way Junho can do it in 6 months. Natsude Halo warned him that his life was on the line and to make it happen. As he disappeared, Calciner asked his minion to look for a pathfinder. A pathfinder allows him to go down the dimensional elevator while evading the association. Calciner decided to go to the first floor himself. Meanwhile, Junho arrived early in England and plans to clear smaller gates as a warm-up. Junho thought that if 200 players can enter, the dungeon will be extremely difficult, and knew he can't protect all 200 people. At the day of the raid, strong players gathered near the gate. Cham Minwo was looking for someone. One of his teammates teased him if he was looking for Jun-ho. He remembered how Jun-ho fought the Cinder Fox and admired him. He was excited to show him how he has changed. They noticed Jun-ho and approached him. Jun-ho thanked Manhwa for carrying him out of the gate after fighting the Cinder Fox. Manhwa asked him if he would like to join their party. Jun-ho agreed as it would be inefficient to go alone. After they entered the gate, and Jun-ho was confused after seeing the other guilds going off on their own. Manhwa explained that they use terminals these days to communicate. After entering the gate, Jun-ho was clueless. One of the members teased him about being a time traveler from the past. Manhwa introduced the other members to Jun-ho. Choi Junpyo was the healer, and the girl that teased him was Seo Mary. Her skill let her see the close future of whoever she look at. But it has a long cooldown. She also needs to tell the target what she saw. There will be a penalty if she doesn't. She sees Jun-ho's future and amazed by how he killed 10 dark elves by himself, and thought he's amazing. Jun-ho thought that she can tell him about his friends. Mary clarified that her skill is only a sneak peek and she can't see far into the future. It isn't always accurate as the future is ever changing. They can use her skill to see if any danger lies ahead. Manhwa showed Juno other teams' location as they communicated that they haven't seen any dark elves yet. Mary thought the reason they haven't found any dark elves is that the dark elves' numbers are low. Junho thinks there is something wrong and that there was no way the enemy's numbers are low as the party capacity is too high, and was suspicious as to how they haven't found any dark elves. Junho explained that dark elves are prideful beings that they wouldn't stand by when there are intruders. Juno asked Mary to tell him around what time they were fighting when she saw his future. She estimated it was at night. Junho thought for a while, then took out a sleeping bag. He said the dark elves will probably make a surprise attack at night. Mary said she would notify the other guilds. Juno said they might not believe it. Junho said he will take a nap first, and then they will take turns resting. Night came, then we see 2 players on watch talking in front of a bonfire. The other player said, what if the dark elves really made a surprise attack? The other player was doubtful and said it was nonsense. He mocked the dark elves' intelligence, and how they couldn't resist the temptation of power, and that they were incapable of organized attacks. They noticed multiple eyes in the darkness, and were relieved when they see it was just wall dogs, thinking they were afraid of the fire. The player who mocked the elves then saw figures in the trees and told the other player to wake the team up as they were surrounded by the dark elves. Junho suddenly woke up feeling something was wrong. Mary told him nothing has happened yet, and he could go back to sleep. He asked about the other parties and she said night watches posting updates every 30 minutes. Mary was confused as to why no one has posted and thought there might be a problem with the communication. Junho knew they have been attacked. As he saw with his hunter's night skill the dark elves surrounding them. Junho smiled as he was excited seeing the dark elves making coordinated attacks with trained wall dogs. Juno ordered Mary to wake Manhwa. She wondered why, as she doesn't see anything as she was talking. A wool dog attacked her from behind and Junho killed the monster, as the dark elf riding the wool dog fell into the bonfire. Junho thought he shouldn't use the sword given to him by Noyet to face these small fries. Junho killed the attacking elves. He noticed one elf attacking him, but let it stab him in the back. Junho was satisfied with the armor Kwan Nuya's grandson gave him. As the attack kills every elf, but Junho intended to let one elf run to the forest, so he can use the Confessions of the Dead and read its memory without his party seeing him. One of the elves attacked, and Junho killed him instantly, and told the other elf to run. After seeing the elf's memories, he comprehended that the dark elves ate the branches of the world tree and gained power in exchange for their intelligence. But the leader's intelligence wasn't affected, and saw they have 1,000 dark elves and the dark elven knights, the leader's bodyguards. Junho came back to the party and made an excuse that he chased one elf. Junho asked how are the other parties. Mary said that they can't reach anyone and probably they are in the middle of a battle, or may be wiped out. Juno said they need to save them. Meanwhile the other parties are overwhelmed by the attacks as one player asks for help. As he sees the elves attack to finish him, Junho arrives and killed the elf and the wall dog. The party leader thanked Junho, saying he was the savior of the Blue Whale party. Junho asked how many casualties. The leader said they lost 5 people and blamed himself for what happened. Junho asked the Blue Whale party to head north, saying they can fight together and minimize their casualties. Junho estimated that there are at least 500 dark elves remaining, and they had a chance at winning if they survived the night. Junho told them to go north and gather the others, then come to the east after cleaning up. The leader has lost morale after what happened. Junho told them they have to keep fighting and carry out revenge for their comrade. The leader thanked him and decided to follow Korea's new star. In the next scene, we see a player making his last stand and surrounded by wool dogs. He accepted his death, but was surprised to see the attacking wall dogs get killed. He saw a man and wonders who it was. The player was thankful, and if it wasn't for Junho they would have been annihilated. They survived the night, and Junho estimated that the elves lost half their forces and probably won't attack them anymore. Junho thought they should be on the offensive. He saw two players arguing about whether they had to clear the gate as fast as possible and send the critical players to a hospital with high-level healers. The other players reasoned that it isn't fair for everyone to sacrifice themselves for one person as they aren't prepared to fight. Junho sighed seeing this. Manhwa asked him what he thinks. Junho explained that both options have pros and cons, but thinks the best option is to clear the gate as soon as possible, and the reason for clearing it quickly is that they would be at a disadvantage the longer it takes. A player asked if they assumed that 500 dark elves left. What about the wall dogs? Junho assured them that there aren't any more of them, as he saw the size of the wall dogs chasing the last player they rescued and understood that they were pups. Dark elves used the pups as they lost all of their adult wall dogs, and they won't be able to attack them at night anymore. Junho continued that the dark elves may attack their camp with poison arrows until they are tired and then finish them. Everyone agreed. Junho approached Mary to look into his future as she saw where the dark elves' hideout is located and also saw a dark elf with an ominous aura and 5 dark elves with better armor surrounding it. Junho thought they might be the tribe chief and the dark elven knights. He was a bit disappointed as he already knew most of the information. Mary asked that he was holding something made of ice and asked if it was an artifact. Junho was surprised and asked her to go back to the camp. First he thought the tribe chief was strong enough for him to use the frost skill and was worried. After heading to east, they found the dark elves' lairs and that elves were not guarding the entrance. Junho stretched and asked if everyone is ready. All 147 players were ready. As they arrived at the dark elves' lair and noticed that there is only one entrance. Junho said the chief was smart, and if there was only one passageway, means that if they can't kill all the elves inside they won't reach the tribe chief. They went inside and found the dark elves gathering in a large chamber, and saw the tribe chief sitting on the throne. Everyone was nervous. Junho raised morale by saying the chief might give some elixirs that can save someone on death's door, and the distribution will be based on contribution. Everyone cheered and charged to the dark elves. As Junho swept the enemy, the other players were astonished, and had a hard time following him. Manhwa tried to follow Junho but was overwhelmed. Junho told him to fall back and that it will be dangerous, and Manhwa thought it was crazy to go alone. Junho told him he does a lot of crazy things. Manhwa knew he can't fight by his side yet, and he still have a long way to go. Manhwa thought he won't fall behind next time. Junho smiled and anticipated their next meeting. The dark elven knights blocked Junho, and he decided to take out the sword Noya gave him. These dark elven knights before became corrupted. They were elven knights that protected the kingdom. They used sword techniques and borrowed the strength of the spirits. Junho thought he couldn't defeat them normally, but since their spirit contracts are cancelled, he was confident that he can defeat them. One of the knights attacked, and Junho dodged while analyzing his enemy. Junho smiled as he was excited about the coming fights. He countered and cut the knight's arm off. The elder knight tried to run away, but Junho blocked him and then stabbed the dark elven knight. The other dark elven knights watched as Junho told them to try harder. Junho noticed that the players are struggling and starting to get overwhelmed by the dark elves. Players getting injured and the healers can't keep up. The players are getting exhausted. But then players see that dark elves running were getting killed by dark elven knight. As they noticed that Junho was luring the dark elven knights to the dark elves and destroying their formation, the players knew Junho was helping them. Manhwa rallied the players and attacked. Junho, seeing the players take the upper hand, and decided to finish the dark elven knight chasing him. The tribe chief watched as his minions died. The tribe chief was angered by Junho's mocking and was ready to fight. The chief took a tri-stance, and Junho was surprised because only elves with the power of spirits can use that technique called Genie Aminus, and the corrupted dark elves can't use it. The chief attacked and they clashed swords. After the exchange, Junho knew it was an original technique made by the tribe chief. The chief and Junho trade blows until Junho managed to injure him. The tribe chief, seeing his loyal followers dead, was enraged and attacked Junho. He was sent flying before crashing to the wall. The chief followed with another attack, but Junho dodged and thought this was the power they saw in Mary's vision. Junho took out a gun, but the tribe chief sliced the bullet and attacked Junho. Junho knew he can't win without his frost powers, but was hesitant seeing there were too many people watching him. The tribe chief landed a kick on Junho, which sent him flying to the walls. Junho was severely injured and can barely move. The tribe chief was in the motion of killing Junho, but the other players grabbed the tribe chief, stopping his attacks. Manhwa ordered to protect Junho. The healers came up to Junho and found his ribs are broken and it will take 30 minutes to heal him. One of the players said that they saw him defeat the Dark Elven Knights and push the enemies alone, and told him that it was inspiring. There were only a few enemies left, which was why they were able to help him. Junho asked them to give him 10 minutes to recover. The players were struggling to hold the tribe's chief and doesn't know if they can hold on for that long. The chief broke free and started to attack the players. The tribe chief was furious seeing the players not giving up. The tribe chief felt nervous seeing Bai Junho looking at him. The tribe chief went on a killing spree, putting the players in desperation. Junho stood up and thanked the players. The tribe chief attacked, but Junho covered both of them with a screen blocking the players outside. The players thought it was the tribe chief's skill and was worried about Junho. Junho said that chief trapped him inside. Then chief asked Junho if he was hiding his true power. Junho froze the area while asking if this is what a boss monster feels when looking down on humans. Junho divided frost power into 3 categories. First was the utility, where he freezes the ground, giving him a field advantage and lowering his opponent's stamina. The second was intuitive, he covers his armor in ice to increase his defense. The final is by using the frost skill to attack. He covers the watchguard of darkness and ice, saving him mana. The tribe chief blocked Junho's attack and asked him why he hid his power. He answered that he couldn't help it, and asked the same question to the tribe chief. The chief explained that his ability allows him to borrow the power of a corrupt spirit, and something he can use for a long time. Then Junho told the tribe chief that he will only need 5 minutes to kill him. The chief laughed, but he stopped when Junho displayed a skill similar to a sword aura. Junho explained that it was a technique he created which strengthened the sword using his magic, and he called it Ramadet. Junho attacked and the tribe chief didn't have the time to react. In the next scene we see the tribe chief on the floor with Junho's sword embedded in his chest. The chief requested Junho to finish him in 1 strike. Junho showed him the unknown ball, asking if he knew what it was. The tribe chief was surprised to see that it was a spirit egg and that the spirit can be born wherever there is the power of the world tree. The tribe chief gave Junho his necklace which contained the power of the world tree, and told him to pour his magic into the egg to hatch it. The tribe chief prayed to the world tree to have mercy on his followers as he was dying. Junho couldn't believe that the ball was a spirit egg. If someone make a contract with a spirit, they can use powerful abilities without consuming mana. Junho remembered feeling jealous when he sees people with a spirit. Junho was sure it was a darkness spirit, as spirits make contracts with those who have good synergy with it. Then Junho hatched the egg with his magic. Outside, the smoke players were smiling that they have defeated the remaining dark elves and were waiting for Junho to come out. They were all worried. They then suddenly saw a message stating they have cleared the gate. They cheered for Junho. The smoke boundary disappeared and they saw Junho walking out. The players greeted and thanked him, but Junho just said he was fine and walked away. They thought it was because of the hard-fought battle. On the plane, Junho saw the news of him clearing the gate, but he didn't care, saying it was all useless. He was feeling bad as he didn't get a darkness spirit, but got a frost spirit instead, and it was the Frost Queen. She was curious how the planes could fly without magic. Junho was thinking that she was the one that froze his friends and terrorized people around the world, and that he was the one that killed her. He wondered why she'd become his spirit. The spirit said that she was called and was the most compatible with Junho's magic, meaning the element that he was most suited for is frost. Junho reasoned he only used frost for only 3 months while he used Watchguard of Darkness for 5 years. The spirit told him to stop being stubborn and make a contract with her. Junho told her that he won't because of the things she had done to the people. She asked him what she has done bad. Junho stopped because he can't think of anything. He said she froze the Pacific, but then he thought it stopped global warming. He thought of his friend, she was the one who froze them. The spirit explained she was not the one that froze them, and he and his friends were the one who came to kill her in dungeon. Her powers helped him melt the ice and insists she didn't do anything wrong, and she should be the one angry because that he killed her. Junho secretly messaged Duke and asked him what the Frost did wrong. He replied that she froze him and the 5 heroes and nothing more. The Frost Queen saw it and was curious. Junho asked her why he would want to make a contract with her. She offered to be his teacher, but Junho said that she lost to him. She agreed, but reasoned that Junho defeated her because she was in a weakened state and swore on her existence that she didn't lie. Junho knew the oath of existence that magicians use with their life on the line. He asked her how weak was she. She replied perhaps 100th of her power, But Junho was shocked and asked her swore on her existence again. She said no, if she do it too often then it will hurt her dignity. Junho finally agreed to make a contract with her. On one condition, that she will not endanger the people around him, and if she does it'll terminate the contract. She agreed, and the Frost Queen spirit and Junho formed the contract. In the association training room, Jun-HK equipped the artifact that he obtained in Last Gate and thought it'll boost his magic stats and he'll easily clear the 1-star gate by himself. Then asked Frost Spirit to show her skills. She said he knows her powers better than anyone. Junho said it's different now that she is spirit. Frost Spirit starts demonstration of her powers. Junho remembers the feeling when he was entering her dungeon. However, the spirit abruptly stopped her demonstration. She said that she is not in a mood and no longer wanted to use her powers. Junho was surprised for a second and was so angry, and he felt a headache. Coming on the spirit, she explained that when she becomes curious about something she loses her concentration. Junho asked her what she was curious about. She said she wishes to explore human world. Later we see Junho taking the Frost Queen outside. She was amazed and continually asked Junho questions about everything she saw. Junho became frustrated and asked if others could see her. The Frost Spirit replied that only if she wanted them to see her. Then she spotted a cat and asked what is this adorable thing, and approached it, but cat tried to bite and swipe at her. She said that it was a ferocious beast and if it alright to wander around streets. Junho explained that it does not bite humans because they are bigger and only shows its weak side to those who are strong. The Frost Spirit became angry and promised to show Junho her powers. In the training room, the Frost Spirit started demonstrate of her power. She summoned various weapons in an instant, leaving Junho impressed. He thought she could wage war on her own. Junho told her not bad, which angered her, and she said she is weakened as a spirit, and her true powers are immense. Junho thought that each one is finely crafted as if made by a master. Plus quality and strength is incredible. Then Jun said he can make these things at some point, all he need is time, and what he really wants from her is something that he can't do. The Frost Queen spirit thought for a while, then showed him. Junho was shocked and excited, and the Frost Spirit was pleased. At the president's office, Junho asked Duke if he knows what the Frost Queen looks like. He answered no because only Junho was the only one who saw her. Junho asked the Frost Spirit to show herself to Duke. Duke was scared and referred her as "what's that thing?" To which she gets offended and freezes the area. Junho calmed her down and explained to Duke how he got the Frost Queen and said that she will be a big help in battles. Duke explained Spritz has a class which goes from low to arch. To which they asked what's her class is. The Frost Spirit said she is obviously an arch spirit, don't ask her rude questions. But they didn't believe her, thinking she was over-exaggerate herself. Junho told Duke that he wants to clear a gate that is harder this time. To which Duke said the gates before he cleared was already harder. Junho said he wants to clear 1-star gates alone. With the Frost Spirit's help he can do it. Duke said that only 3 1-star gates are left on the Earth, located in South America, China, last one is in Antarctica. To which Junho plans to clear next gate named Winter Castle in Antarctica. Duke stolls a press conference for next day. Junho asked the Frost Spirit if she knows anything about the dimensional elevator. Junho thought that if they can find out its origins they can put an end to everything. Then she replied that she knows nothing and explained that when she was defeated by Junho, she forgot everything and can't remember any information about it. The Frost Spirit assured him that even though her memories disappeared, she will be of great help to him in the coming days. Junho asked her how does she use her power, as he knew spirits don't consume magic from their contractor. She explained that spirits use their contractor's mental strength, and if the contractor's mental strength weakens, the spirit would be unable to use their abilities. Before press conference, Chae Sayun enters the room where Junho was getting ready for conference. Chae Sayun asked if he's not gonna wear pajama in conference like last time he did. Junho said it's only fun if you do it once. Chae Sayun said he's looking good. In the press conference, journalists are gathered. People talk about Junho's outstanding growth in only 3 months. One journalist compared Junho with top players and said he won't be surprised if Junho announces clearing 1-star gate. But others didn't believe and said that's too much for him. Jun-ho enters the conference room and surprised that he's not wearing pajamas. Press conference begins. Jun-ho answers few questions, the one the journalist asked him if he's planning to clear Cave of Trials. To which Jun-ho replied yes, he's planning to clear Cave of Trials. Cave of Trials is a gate in Tibet. Every time player clear the trial in a cave, they are given the choice of either continue the trial or give up where they are. Unlike other gates, they can leave gates safely. Before the conference ends, Jun-ho announces after clearing Cave of Trials, he is gonna challenge 1-star Gate Winter Castle. Every person in the conference room gets shocked and asks once again if he's talking about one of the 3 uncleared gate that has brutal difficulty. To which Jun-ho confirmed. Next day, news spread across the world. Frost Queen was worried about Jun-ho as many think it was too early for him to enter the Cave of Trials. Jun-ho explains that generally people enter that gate between 25 to 30. But they know that if player is low ranker then he'll receives more rewards. Jun-ho had already cleared Cave of Trials 25 years ago under the Spectre name. And Cave of Trials does not allow players to enter again once they receive the reward. But Jun-ho lost all his reward and his stats are now reset, so he might be allowed to go in again. Jun was exited to challenge those trials again, to meet his friends and to surpass his past self. He asks Frost Queen to help him in training when they get back. She was excited to become his master, and stated that his training will be difficult. In the Player Association building, the Frost Spirit informed Jun-ho about his ability to manipulate 2 elements, darkness and frost energy. She emphasized that mastery over energy depended on understanding, leading to more refined techniques. When asked about his perception of dark energy, Jun-ho described it as violent and prideful, earning the Frost Spirit's approval. However, his response about frost energy being ice cold disappointed her, considering he had been utilizing frost for 3 months. The Frost Spirit clarified that frost energy possesses a distinct elegance compared to other energies. While darkness, fire, and wind excel in attack but lack defense, water and earth energies lean towards defense. In contrast, frost energy stands out for excelling in both offense and defense. It was once renowned for creating one-man armies that dominated battlefields. To enhance his control over frost magic, training began. Yet, before the training could proceed, the Frost Queen requested Jun-ho to craft an exact replica of a sword using his frost skills. Jun-ho expressed reluctance, stating his disinterest in learning sword making. In response, the Frost Queen insisted that she wouldn't proceed with his training until he successfully crafted the weapon. In the next scene, we saw Jun-ho made a sword similar to original one. He asks if is this okay. She breaks the sword stating blade is not sharp enough and weight distribution is bad. She thought that he's quite impressive after only 34 minutes, he can recreate blade with 62% accuracy. She remembered that 25 years ago he was so powerful that she could not believe he was a human from Earth. She thought that maybe she's creating monster. And watching his progress is quite enjoyable. In the next scene, we see training room is all frozen. And Jun-ho breathing heavily. After many tries he shows the sword crafted by frost magic. He asked Frost Queen Spirit how is it? To which she replied he has finally made something useful. But broke the sword again saying she was annoyed. She patted Jun-ho saying this should be enough training for weapon creation. And get some sleep. Once he wake up she'll teach him how to use frost skill as he desires. Jun-ho said she's acting suspicious and worried she tells him to make spear this time. Jun-ho faints and Frost Spirit put blanket on Jun-ho. Desire he will become more stronger to protect his precious one. Few days later, Jun-ho and Frost Spirit reach a plateau in Tibet. To challenge Gate of Trials. Where Monk welcomes Jun-ho. And shows the players that have completed the trail before. Explaining the rules to Jun-ho. Jun-ho enters the cave where come across the gate. Jun-ho try entering, but error occurs stating to enter second time clearances from administrators is needed. Jun-ho was surprised. Suddenly a door appear in front of Jun-ho. From the door administrator of the dimensional elevator named Gray comes out. Jun-ho asks him if he's a god. Gary replied that he's just a public servant who has been appointed by them to manage this place. Administrator says that it been a long time since he have seen familiar faces, and referred to him as Spectre. surprising Junho, and congratulated him for his return. The queen was also surprised as he could see her too and referred to as sovereign of the Cold Frost Queen. The administrator told Junho that he already cleared the trials 25 years ago, and the rules stated that those who already received the rewards cannot enter a second time even if Junho changed his name. Junho reasoned that he already lost the rewards he received from the Cave of Trials. The administrator analyzed him and found that he is telling the truth. While releasing aura of Administrator, Junho felt pressured. The administrator said that the problem isn't about breaking the rules but an issue of fairness. As Junho already knew what trials he will face in the cave, and that it will be unfair to the other players. Junho told the administrator to increase the difficulty to balance it out. The administrator asked him if he could handle it. Junho was confident. The administrator agreed and wished him luck. While leaving, the Frost Queen asked why her memories disappeared. The administrator answered that he cannot speak of that. Junho and Frost Queen teleported inside the Cave of Trials. The Frost Queen was frustrated that she has no memories related to the floors. Junho started the trials and completed the level 1 magic trial easily. The Queen praised him. The Frost Queen asked why Junho suddenly struggling to move, and Junho told her that the second trial changes the force of gravity on the body every minute, and the following trials are all things considered to be torture. He finished the trial and decided to continue. Frost Queen was worried and told her to rest first. Junho thought this would give him better rewards the more he suffers. The next was the Phantom Trial. Junho remembered the illusion where he fought to save his parents from monsters and had to remind himself that it isn't real. It ended after half a day. The illusions appeared. He saw it was his comrades calling him a liar and a traitor. Frost Queen told him to not listen to them, but Junho remembered how they sacrificed and sent him up knowing they would die. Junho shouted and wouldn't want them to be insulted like this. Junho knew that fighting them all at once will be suicide. He asked the Frost Queen to stop Skaya and Ramadet. The Frost Queen told him that it will take a huge toll on his mental energy. Junho replied it doesn't matter, and how long can she hold them? She estimated about 30 seconds. Junho decided to take out Gilberto and Mio because they have low defense, while the Frost Queen summoned a giant ice golems to attack them. Ramadet tried to attack Junho, but the Frost Queen froze him. As Junho advanced, Gilberto aimed and fired at him, but he managed to dodge the shot. Junho was worried that even though it was an illusion, Gilberto's magic bullet was flawless, and if he gets hit by his magic bullet he'll die. Gilbert takes aim at Junho, but he disappears. He was shocked. Junho appeared behind him using night walking skill, and killed him with one strike. Mio was furious, saying how could kills his friends, and swore to take revenge. Junho knew it would be challenging to defeat her in a sword fight, but he thought he might have an opportunity to attack as she was emotionally affected by Gilberto's death. She ran towards Junho to attack, but Junho dodged it. She got careless and gave Junho an opportunity to strike and killed her instantly. Junho sees that Ramadet was free from ice. Meanwhile, the Frost Queen was at her limits as her golems were destroyed by Skaya's magic one by one. Skaya attacks Frost Queen, but Junho came and blocked the attacks and protected the Frost Queen. He praised her for holding this long. Ramadet attacked while Skaya supported him from the back line. Junho knows the two have the strongest synergy, and will have to go all out to defeat them. Junho used skill to boost himself. He attacked Ramadet, but he just took it, and was unaffected and attacked Junho. Junho dodged the attack and thought his regenerative power is crazy. Skaya take aim at Junho, but he ran away while Skaya attacked with magic. Junho teased Ramadet, to which his got angered and blocked Junho. Ramadet punched him so hard that his broke through his ice shield and giving internal injuries. But Junho used this opportunity to attack and stabbed him. Ramadet was confident the attack won't affect him, but Junho used skill named Law of Life, which pierced through his body, killing him instantly. Skaya saw Ramadet die in front of her. Skaya went berserk seeing him die. Junho knew he can't win without giving in all. He summoned Death's Scythe using Darkness skill to break through the shield that protects Skaya. Death's Scythe consumes ton of magic, so he can't use it for long. She used all of her magic to kill Junho, but Junho swiftly kills Skaya. He finished the attack and was thankful that it was not the real Skya or he would have lost. Message appeared stating he has completed Phantom Trial and if he wants to proceed or quit. He decided to continue. In the next scene we saw Frost Queen waking Jun-ho. He woke up in the restroom. She tells him he was sleeping for 30 hours straight. She was astonished by the Death Side's power but knew its aftershocks are quite vicious. She asked how many trials are remain. Jun-ho was unsure because the administrator changed the contents of the trial and the difficulty. After exiting the restroom, the fourth trial begins and it was the insomnia trial. It is a trial in which he can't sleep for 10 days. 20 hours past. Jun-ho was doing well and asked Frost Queen to help him waking up. After 60 hours Juno was miserable and Frost Queen throws a ice ball on his face. She reminded him not to fall asleep. 98 hours and he was close to falling asleep but the Frost Queen woke him. Up 24 hours left. The Frost Queen was cheering for him. Jun-ho thought that he need to at least reach the 9th level to save his comrades. And to receive the stats reward. He remembered them and promised to save them. Jun-ho woke up screaming from his thoughts. When he heard the Frost Queen calling him and pointing to the timer that it was already over. He was relieved and lay down. Jun-ho rested then continued for next trial. He entered the sense trials which tested his sense of smell, taste, sight, and hearing. Next trial was the stillness trial which combined the sound and silence trial. The Frost Queen communicated with him using Morse code asking if he will eat. He thought she was having fun using it after teaching her. Jun-ho was determined to finish all the trials after enduring everything. He knew next was the void trials where most of the players give up and he remembered he was one of them. It's a nothingness where people loses their 5 cents and go mad. As he finished the stillness trial, a message appeared that the 9th void trial and 10th time trial will happen simultaneously. Jun-ho was surprised then a warning appeared saying to cancel if he can't handle the trial as his existence may disappear. Jun-ho knew he can be stuck and unable to feel anything. Even passing time. Jun-ho signaled to the Frost Queen that he will be back. She wished him good luck and will wait for his return. He began the trial and was surrounded by the void. Jun-ho was wondering how much time has passed and thought if he would give up just like the last time. He reminded himself that he made a choice and he refused to die in a place like this. Jun-ho woke up with the Frost Queen greeting him. He asked how much time has passed and she said it was 10 days. Jun-ho cursed the cave as he thought he was there for a month. The queen noticed that something has changed in him. Jun-ho checked his body and found that his magic loss rate was at 0%. Compared to 3% when he was Spectre, he was on the same level as Skya, who was blessed by magic. This gives him perfect magic control. He summoned a blade and attacked the cave walls. They were surprised and the queen said it was much stronger than the previously he used. Message appeared stating he has cleared the trails and his rewards is in progress. He was impatient to see rewards and wondered why he hasn't received his reward yet. Warning appeared stating do not fret, reward is being calculated. Jun-ho saw that 2 of his skill increased by 2 and while his stats increased by 20. It was double the number of rewards he got in the past. He also noticed a new title limit breaker which gives him 1 random stat every time he levels up. Jun-ho estimated that by the time he reaches level 130 he would have 100 bonus stat in total, increasing the gap between him and the other players. The Frost Queen interrupted Jun-ho's daydreaming and said she wanted to leave the place. Outside the gate, a monk and a bodyguard were waiting for Jun-ho's return. They were worried that it'd been a month and he still haven't returned. But then they noticed the Cave of Trial rankings had been updated and Seo Jun-ho was now ranked number 1, having successfully cleared the 10th floor. The monk was surprised, exclaiming that the legend had just been born. Meanwhile we saw the mansion where kids were playing. Calciner is seen visiting an orphanage and a blonde man greets him at the entrance. The blonde man says that they are doing this for the heavenly demon. Calciner addresses the man as Milo Torres and tell him to be cautious about casually mentioning that name around children's. The blonde man snaps his fingers and all the children stop what they are doing. Torres Milo said they are being trained to become powerful fiends like him. He snaps his fingers and the children return to their previous activity. Then he invited Calciner inside. In Italy, Rome. We see that Jun-ho and Frost wandering around the place. Frost was excited seeing Jun-ho on TV. He reminded her to not to get distracted from mission. Few days before, we see that Duke was so happy upon Jun-ho's return from Cave of Trials. He was happy because our Jun-ho Clearing the Gate Association got tons of donations. After that, Duke informed Jun-ho that the orphanage they were looking for is located in Rome, where Arma the skeleton mage and other children's raised as fiends. Duke showed him a picture of Torres Milo, a retired player. He was seen walking with children. He shows up wandering in downtown once every 2 months, and every time Torres Milo appears in the area, a missing persons report was always filed within a week. And next week will be exactly 2 months. In the present day, Jun-ho was fatigued and unable to locate the orphanage. The Frost Queen suggests they return to their lodgings and rest. As Jun-ho is walking, a child collides and was getting away. He attempts to steal from him, but Jun-ho apprehends the child and demands that he return the stolen item. The child returns the watch and Jun-ho threatens to call the police. He was scared. Jun-ho then inquires if the child is familiar with the area, to which the child confirms. Jun-ho treated the child a meal and found his name was Marco. He was eating, but he remembered his family at home. Jun-ho asked how many are they in the family and ordered takeaway for them. Jun-ho found that they don't have parents. Marco replied that they don't, but there is a priest who visits the family once a month and thinks they are from the Vatican. The priest said that to make them clean human beings, they take one child at a time to paradise, and said paradise is where they can study, wear clean clothes and eat 3 meals a day. But Macro doesn't want to go to paradise because the priest gives off a bad vibe. Jun-ho asked if they were able to see the kids that went to paradise. Marco replied that they can't see them, but the priest sometimes brings the letter that children wrote themselves. Jun-ho asked when is the priest's next visit, and create a fake story that he lost his sister, and maybe the priest could help him. Marco told him that he will help him meet the priest, and that he will be visiting them in 2 days. After that we see Vatican. Pope was walking through corridor and saw an unknown person. It was Spectre. Pope was shocked to see Spectre. The Pope was embarrassed that they were living comfortably while Spectre and the 5 heroes fought for peace. Jun-ho asked Pope if he knows something about paradise. But the Pope was unaware. Jun-ho thought that the people who were impersonating the priest and kidnapping children must be fiends. Before he left, Jun-ho warned the Pope that a fire may break out in the next few days. Then he disappears using darkness skill. In Marco's lodging, Jun-ho woke up while Marco was asking him why did he sleep there. Jun-ho told Marco to guide him to the priest. While they were walking, the Frost Queen noticed that Marco's steps were light, so Jun-ho asked Marco if he was an aspiring player. Marco was shocked, asked how did he know. He said he was practicing to be a player. Jun-ho told him it will be hard. Marco replied that he will do it to protect his family, and remembered the priest said there is a player training course inside paradise. Jun-ho thought this must be their way of capturing talented children. Marco plans to go when the priest next visits, and after he receives his license he will be able to earn and enter the gates. He intends to become an amazing player like Spectre. On their way to the church, Marco saw Torres Milo with a child. Marco knows the child and calls for her, and said she left the family 2 months ago to join paradise. Torres Milo instructed the child to greet Marco with a cheerful demeanor, and the child hugged Marco while smiling. Torres Milo also greeted Marco. Jun-ho approached them while pretending to scold Marco. Milo was suspicious of Jun-ho because he was wearing a mask and sunglasses. Jun-ho introduced himself as Sunny as they shook hands. Torres noticed his grip and asked Jun-ho if he is a player. Jun-ho confirmed and said he was only level 27. Which disgusted Torres Milo, as he thought to himself that Jun-ho wasn't worth his time. Jun-ho asked Marco if Torres was the one from paradise. Torres was shocked and asked how did he know. Marco said he saw Torres with the priest. Torres was confused about how Jun-ho found out about paradise. Jun-ho told him the fake story while crying that his reason for coming here was to find his younger sibling that was lost 15 years ago, and he learned about paradise while searching for his sibling. Torres thought that he can't let Jun-ho go as the existence of paradise might be exposed to the world. So he decided to invite him to the orphanage. Jun-ho thanked him. They arrived at the orphanage and a teacher welcomed them. Torres secretly told the teacher to make sure that no one follows them. Torres brought them to the auditorium and showed the children training to be players. Torres asked Junho if he could teach the children a lesson and introduced him. Some of the teachers also entered the room. The eyes of the teacher and the children turned red. Marco was surprised. As Junho told him to remember, those eyes are proof that Torres is a demon. Junho asked if he fed the children demon's blood. Torres mocked him and said some children refused, but after killing some of them, they rushed to drink it. Marco was angered knowing that all of the kids that went were turned into demons. He tried to attack Torres, but he was stopped by one of the fiends. Torres laughed at him as Marco said they will be punished by Spectre. Torres said that he would have believed it 25 years ago, and no one will fear Spectre even if he returns. Junho stepped forward and said to Marco that if he wants to become a player, he must hold on to his weapon till the end, even when facing an opponent he can't beat. Junho wore Spectre's mask while saying to Marco that he wasn't a player yet, so he will help this time. Marco was confused if he was really Spectre, but he asked him to save his siblings. Torres and his minions laughed while mocking Junho, thinking he was an imposter. One of the fiend approached him while laughing and said if he was Spectre his head should go flying in the next 5 seconds. Junho replied it won't even take 5 seconds. As he attacked and killed the fiend, the other fiends were terrified as they recognized the Skull Darkness Warden, the dark type ability that Spectre uses. Torres ordered the fiends to kill Junho while thinking that there was no way he was the real Spectre. Junho snapped his fingers and the 2 fiends got devoured by the darkness instantly. The other fiends tried to dodge. Junho thought it was useless while feeling satisfied that there was no limit to his magic power. He killed the other fiends easily. Torres was terrified as he remembered the legend of Spectre killing 100 demons on the spot. He ordered the children to grab onto Junho to buy time until reinforcement arrives. Junho stopped the kids by covering them with darkness. Torres ran away, but he felt thinking he tripped, but he saw his foot cut off. Junho attacks him with darkness skill and asked him if he ever considered what it was like for the children to be forcibly turned into fiends. He begged for mercy, but Junho killed him, stating it won't be unfair if he dies. After hearing his confession of the dead on Torres, he saw how Torres wanted powers and became a fiend. In another scene, Torres was kneeling to a man called Chief Roxanne Azar. He tasted Torres's ability, and wondered how to make it taste like it. As a reward, he told Torres why the paradise was created 24 years ago. The fiend established an organization on the 2nd floor, and was scared that the 5 heroes will be awakened and kill them. Their solution was to create paradise, and make their own Spectre. Paradise is the ingredient factory to select children who have awakened as demons, and the chef takes the ingredients and manufactures them into a new grade. Then use the ultimate sense of taste to create the same abilities. Torres had the ability of mind manipulation, which will help them make second Spectre. As the Spectre, Junho also learned that the chief will be waiting for him on the 2nd floor. Junho felt guilt as he learned that the reason for thousands of children forcibly turned into fiends was to create a second Spectre, and felt it was all because of him. Frost said it's not his. He knew that once a player becomes a fiend, they can't become a human again. He has no choice but to end the children who have been turned into fiends. Junho went inside and saw Marco asking him to save his siblings. Junho told him that it was impossible and explained that if a normal person consumes the fiend's blood, they can only adapt and die or become a fiend. Anna woke up, but she tried to attack Marco. Junho pulled Marco back and used darkness magic to hold Anna. Then a message appeared saying a low level of demonic energy felt, and that he can absorb it using the Watchguard of Darkness's ability. Junho was surprised. He wondered if they can still be saved. Marco stood and said he should be one to take care of his siblings. Junho smiled and praised the boy, saying, "It was rare to find a player that will wait for others and that he will become a good player. But right now there's no need for him to carry such heavy responsibilities." After absorbing the demonic energy from the children, Junho sent them to the Vatican to be examined. A priest came out and said all of the children are confirmed to not be fiends. The Pope arrived and wants to publicly announce the incident and warn about the dangers of the fiend. Junho asked the Pope to take care of the rescued children as the Church has a part in what happened. The Pope agreed to provide housing and education to all the children involved. Marco thanked him and said he will work hard to be his underling. But Junho rejected him, saying he doesn't take underlings, he only accepts comrades. Cal Siner wake up from his sleep and saw message from Torres Milo calling for him. After learning about the incident from news and how Spectre destroyed Paradise, he was enraged and plans to kill him next after SEO Junho. In the Players Association, Spectre was waiting, then hears a noises from the outside. He went to take a look, then he saw that large crowd of people outside cheering and congratulating him for returning, and he was surprised. On their way to the conference, Duke asked Junho what was the announcement about. He asked if Duke remembered when he first woke up and thought the world was peaceful. But it wasn't, and in the absence of the 5 heroes, fiends thrive and the weak suffered, and that 25 years ago the fiends weren't able to do it. Duke said it was only because the 5 heroes were there to stop them. Junho said at the beginning he only wanted to free his comrades, but now that fiends become more dangerous, and he has to remind them of his presence. Duke cautioned, saying about the dangers of coming back as Spectre, explaining that many people would be targeting him and that people would look to him for answers in any incident that occurs. He also stated that he and his comrades have already done enough. Junho was aware of risks. Even though he don't have power, but he had influence, saying there was no one but him who can do it. Frost also praised him for his courage. Dukas was frustrated and also understands his point, and asked him what he need to do. Junho told Duke to increase the volume of the speaker as much as possible. At the conference hall, there were so many big guilds gathered to recruit him. Inho was observing and saw all the big 6 vice masters and team leaders gathered, but stopped when he noticed Yuha was not listening. Yuha was excited to see Spectre in person. Then Spectre and Duke arrived and the conference started. Reporter asked if he could provide proof that he was indeed Spectre. Junho stood up and displayed a sword aura. Everyone was stunned. The reporter then asked after the incident in Rome and if he will be returning to the field. Spectre replied that he had originally planned to retire, as he believed that the world had become peaceful thanks to him and his comrades' sacrifices, and felt relieved that they were no longer needed. But after seeing the horrors of Paradise, he realized that he couldn't retire. He told them that over the past 24 years 6,000 children have been kidnapped and killed by the fiend. The press was shocked by the numbers. Spectre continued that it could have been easily prevented if the players, the guilds and the association joined hands and make it as the fiends never shows up again. Spectre addressed the fiends and told them Spectre has returned. In Players Association, Junho was laying on the couch and satisfied that the announcement is gaining attention. He was startled when the Frost Queen screamed. When he got there, he found that she called him just to switch to second episode of drama. He was annoyed and took revenge by giving her a carbonated drink. She thought it was a normal drink and drunk it. She went flying around and Junho was laughing. She was so mad, but Junho switched her mind by turning TV, and she was satisfied. As Junho was on his way to the training room, Duke called him to inform him that all of the leaders of the top 6 teams had come to see him. Junho wondered why the Big 6 was looking for him, as he asked Duke if they came for Spectre. Duke told him that they came for SEO Junho. He thought about it, and understood that the Big 6 were already on the first floor to recruit SEO Junho. Duke warned him that some of the Big 6 are violent, and that they rather break something if they can have it. Junho thought an idea. Junho arrived and greeted the Big 6 and asked what they wanted. One of them said they wanted to recruit him, as he was ranked first in the Cave of Trials. The others were there for the same reason. Junho apologized and said that he couldn't transfer to another organization. One of the Big 6 offered to pay any fees for breaking his contract, but Junho stopped them by putting Spectre's, the demon beheading sword, on the table. Junho explained that Spectre had given him the sword as a token of proof, and had chosen him to be his official delegate. The Big 6 were surprised by this. Yuha didn't think that Junho was this close to Spectre. The Big 6 thought Spectre is creating his own army, and if Junho and Spectre joins their guilds they will get lots of PR. Junho continued that Spectre had proposed 3 conditions. First, Junho would continue his affiliation with the association to avoid bias towards any one guild. Second, the guilds that accepted the proposal would receive a great amount of information and influence on the second floor. And third, the guilds that accepted the proposal will provide any information that Spectre requests. and in return Spectre will publicly announce the guild's contribution. Yuha thought that the Big Six had no choice but to accept the offer, in order to receive his approval. As after Spectre's conference the guilds were blamed for not doing enough to stop the fiends, and were only concerned about filling their pockets, and thought Spectre is the only one who hold the power. The Big Six said they would need to consult with their guild masters. Junho left saying they should contact him if they made a decision. The Big Six knew that as long as Junho is Spectre's proxy they wouldn't be able to recruit him, and they thought Spectre saw potential in Junho to become as strong as the 5 heroes. They also knew that Spectre had an eye for spotting potential as he did with Gilberto Green, who only had 1 D-rank skill, but everyone ignored him. Only Spectre saw his potential. Yuha caught up to Junho. He joked that he wouldn't give her special treatment just because they were acquainted. Yuha denied it, and asked if he was close to Spectre. Junho told her that it was only a professional relationship. She asks if he has met him for in person, which he confirmed. She requested that Junho get her book autographed by Spectre. Junho reluctantly agreed. Then she requested to draw a heart with her name on it. Junho told her that he won't write something so cringe. She said she's not asking him to write. Then she thanked him and left. Later in the training room Junho reviewed his stats, and discovered they were similar to when he was at level 60 in the past. He realized that when he will enters the 2nd floor he will be at a disadvantage even with the use of Spectre's name, and will need information from the Big Six to succeed. Junho summoned 10 level 100 dummies and decided to relearn all the skills he had used in the past before heading to the 2nd floor. He demonstrated his abilities by dodging an attack from one of the dummies, and then countering with an attack infused with magic. The Frost Queen noticed this and Junho confirmed that it used a lot of magic energy. He remembered a technique taught by Skya called Booster, and used it to charge and unleash a powerful punch that destroyed the area, impressing the Frost Queen. However, after the display Junho was exhausted, and explained that even when he was Spectre he could only use the booster technique for 10 minutes. Therefore he plans to train until he can use it effectively in battle, and then challenge the Winter Castle. 1 week later, during training the Frost Queen reminded Junho that his body temperature was too high and suggested that he use the Frost skill to lower it. Junho replied that he had tried, but if he used both the Frost and Booster techniques simultaneously, he couldn't control it. He estimated that it would take a few months for him to be able to use them effectively in battle. Despite this, he was satisfied with his training and contacted his secretary Cha, informing her that he will be heading to the Winter Castle Gate in Antarctica. Juno arrived in Antarctica with Duke, who was shivering. Duke left immediately as his only task was to bring Junho there. The Frost Queen remarked that Duke was too fragile for the harsh weather. Junho checked the information and saw that the clear objective was to defeat the Lord of the Winter Castle with a difficulty level of brutal. He entered the gate and wondered where the castle was located. But the Frost Queen directed him to go northwest and informed him that they were in the Ice Kingdom of Niflheim, the country she used to rule. The Frost Queen was perplexed as to how the Winter Castle still existed, since she had left it. Junho asked her for any information about the castle, such as the number of guards or if there were any secret passages. The Frost Queen became angry as he was asking her to reveal the country's secrets. Junho jokingly suggested that their destinies were already connected, and they would be together forever. Eventually the Queen relented and shared what she knew, mentioning that they had initially intended to summon all of her knights to the previous gate that Junho had entered when he was Spectre. The Frost Queen remembered there were 27,000 soldiers in the Winter Castle, but believed the number to be lower because they were now inside a gate. She also mentioned that it might be possible that the only one in the castle was Sir Kiss Bremen, who was the Lord of the Winter Castle and his loyal knight. Juno asked about his strength, to which the Frost Queen replied that Sir Kiss would only need one finger to defeat him. Junho thought that Sir Kiss was stronger than her, but she became angry and explained that she was extremely weakened when they fought. Junho was relieved as he thought that Sir Kiss might also be weakened. They entered the castle and the Frost Queen explained that behind the door there was a hall where 100 knights awaited and he would have to fight each one to prove his strength. Junho exclaimed why she had only told him this now. She reasoned him that during the proof of knighthood the fights would be one at a time. As he opened the door, he saw the knights facing him. The door closed, and the knights drew their swords. A knight named Horan Simus asked him to state his purpose, and the Frost Queen instructed him to say that he came to prove his knighthood. Juno was doubtful, as the knight repeated his question and warned him that if he did not answer he would be considered a trespasser. Reluctantly, Junho said that he came to prove his knighthood. 3 months have passed, and Junho is shown sitting in front of a fire eating his bread. She recalls what had happened the first night. One knight stepped forward and pointed his sword at him. But Junho found the fight to be enjoyable. He noticed that all of the knights he fought were strong, and if they were compared to players, they were at least level 100. Their fighting techniques were almost flawless, and all of them used weapon aura that is unique to them. He wondered if they were more dangerous than players. Juno was not aware that sword aura could have diversity. The Frost Queen asked him to explain what he meant. He explained that the player only uses one type of weapon aura, infusing magic into their blade, to create an aura like a flame. However, the knights use auras like drills or sharp auras like spears. Junho asked if there were player systems in Niflheim, and the Frost Queen was certain that there were not. Junho assumed that the knights cannot obtain stats or skills. They achieve their level just through training their bodies and magic all their lives. The Frost Queen asked Junho if he had any insight on using his sword aura, to which he replied to create a aura all he needed is enough magic power and understanding. The Queen said that her knights found a weapon they could handle well, and created an aura that best suited for their fighting style and weapon. As a result, Junho decided to learn more about weapons and make a new sword aura. After training for 3 months, Junho challenged the knights again. The knight attacked him with a sword wave. Junho blocked the attack, but was still affected by the aftershock. Junho used the same technique that the knight used, and the other knights were surprised. Junho smiled and invited the other knights to attack. After a while, Junho defeated the knights. Horan Simus approached him and asked for his name. Junho introduced himself, and upon hearing his name, the knight told him that out of all the knights he had faced, Junho had left the greatest impression. Then he gave him a token of honor, a symbol that shows that he has proven his knighthood. The knight explained that those who have passed the test may request a meeting with the lord of the castle. The knights bid their farewell to Junho. As he leaves to meet the lord, he felt the pressure coming from Kiss Bremen, as he saw the lord sitting on his throne. Upon facing Kiss Bremen, Juno realized that he was a powerful adversary. The Frost Queen remarked that Kiss seemed to know that Juno was a player. He agreed, as evidenced by the intense aura of bloodlust emanating from Kiss. Junho took out his spear and launched in direct attack against Kiss, but his strike was effortlessly blocked. Despite this setback, Juno pressed on with multiple follow-up attacks, all of which were parried by Kiss without even trying hard. Junho's surprised and used skill booster. Frost warned him about activating his booster ability too early in the fight, but Junho knew he couldn't hold back against such a formidable opponent. He inquired about the duration of the booster, and the Frost Queen informed him that he could sustain it for 1 minute and 2 seconds. With this knowledge, Juno resumed his assault on Kiss, and the two clashed fiercely. However, the confrontation ended abruptly when Kiss sent Junho flying into a wall, shattering his weapon. He realized the significant gap in weapon quality. Junho switched to his main weapon, while Kiss activated his ability, causing a thick mist to fill the room. The Frost Queen informed Junho that the mist was called a Shin Mist, and although it held no special properties, but it would impair his vision and make it difficult to anticipate Kiss's movements. Juno was frustrated by the decreased visibility, and decided to deactivate his booster ability and focus on locating Kiss. Suddenly, Kiss launched an attack from behind, but Juno managed to evade it. He counterattacked, but Kiss swiftly grabbed him and slammed him to the ground and attempted to stab him in the head. Junho narrowly avoided the attack but sustained an injury to his shoulder. Fortunately, the Frost Queen intervened and managed to push Kiss away from Juno. Junho acknowledged that he couldn't afford to let Kiss continue attacking him, and the Frost Queen proposed an ambush strategy. However, Juno rejected the idea, explaining that Kiss was too formidable for him to conceal his presence successfully. Juno realized that this was the worst possible scenario for him, and his mind was becoming increasingly clouded due to the strain of using the booster ability. Moreover, the mist was causing him additional problems while Kiss was taking advantage of the situation and gaining the upper hand. Jun-ho resolved that it was time to reverse the situation. Meanwhile, Kiss was impressed that Jun-ho had managed to evade him and remain hidden within the mist. However, Kiss could sense Jun-ho's presence and knew he was close. Kiss saw an outline in the mist and swiftly attacked. But Jun-ho was not there, and suddenly Kiss found himself frozen, realizing that he had fallen into a trap. Jun-ho then emerged behind him and explains to Kiss that mist is formed by concentrated water vapor and can be turned into ice by lowering the temperature. Kiss attempted to retreat, but Jun-ho froze him and delivered a fatal blow. He was surprised to find that Kiss was still alive. Kiss asked for forgiveness from His Majesty. Jun-ho noticed this and asked the Frost Queen why she wasn't revealing herself. The Frost Queen replied that she didn't deserve to, because a monarch must protect their people, but she failed to protect the knights of the Winter Castle who were also citizens of Niflheim. The Frost Queen approached Kiss and spoke to him, stating that this was what it meant to be weak and cry out in silence with no one to answer. Jun-ho received a message indicating that he has successfully cleared the Winter Castle and received the armory key as a reward, along with an increase in his stats. Due to the limit breaker, he had also completed the hidden quest of the Winter Castle, resulting in an increase in his weapon mastery. Jun-ho was pleasantly surprised by the generous rewards and felt that his 3-month stay was worth it. Upon arriving at the armory, he was informed that he could only choose one weapon and would be teleported outside after making his selection. Jun-ho was disappointed. Frost Queen assumed that Gray the administrator may still be watching him. After analyzing the available weapons, Jun-ho chose the Cruel Executioner halberd, which had the ability to recover his stamina. He was satisfied with his choice as it would allow him to fight multiple opponents while continuously recovering his stamina. As they walked out of the castle, Jun-ho caught sight of a portrait of a woman and was struck by her beauty. However, upon closer examination, he recognized the woman's hair and clothing and began to suspect that it was the Frost Queen depicted in the portrait. He asked her about it and to remove her blindfold. Then she became flustered and refusing his request to remove her blindfold and urging him to leave the castle. After returning to the association, Chae Sa-yoon remarked that Jun-ho looked like a man who was rescued from a deserted island. Jun-ho asked if he really looked that bad, but Chae Sa-yoon thanked him for returning safely. Meanwhile, people discussed doubting whether Jun-ho was really part of the association. They get out of room. Then Chae Sa-yoon apologized to Jun-ho for the crowd's reaction upon his return and expressed the association's difficulties during Jun-ho's absence. The complaints from sponsors and commission requests had ceased, and some even demanded to have their funds returned. The president was having a tough time, but they could not do anything without Jun-ho, who had built the association's reputation. Then Jun-ho stated that they don't have to pay attention to people's opinions regardless of the association's reputation. Chae Sa-yoon expressed concern about the negative attitudes towards Jun-ho after only 3 months, but Jun-ho clarified that he fights for his own goals and not for others. Chae Sa-yoon admitted that Jun-ho is correct and wished she had realized it sooner. He then lightened the mood and joked about Chae Sai's occasional denseness. Chae Sa-yoon joked with Jun-ho that she was too dense to fulfill her duties, such as relaying messages from the Big Six. In the Dokabi's office, Messenger informed Guildmaster Shin Sung-hyun that Spectres has requested to gather information about the fiends and send it within 30 minutes. The Dokabi Guildmaster ordered the messenger to compile and send all information below mid-level. However, the messenger was hesitant and suspected that Spectre made a similar request to the other guilds. As he encountered other messengers from the Big Six, Sung-hyun realized that Spectre intended the guilds to compete against each other. He assumed that Spectre knew that the guilds had agreed to limit the information they provided. Spectre likely plans to discard those that do not provide valuable intelligence. Sung-hyun felt that they were all being controlled by Spectre. He then ordered to give all information except the classified and top-secret ones. Sung-hyun opted to make it clear to Spectre about their stance so that the Dokabi Guild would be the sole guild he would cooperate with. While waiting for the guilds to respond, Jun-ho reflected on the risk he took by setting a 30-minute deadline for the information request. He desired to turn the guild master's tactics against him. Jun-ho received the replies from the Big Six guilds, which came in earlier than he expected. He speculated that the guilds probably made an agreement to limit the level of information they provide him during the time he was gone. However, by forcing them to compete with each other, he was able to get valuable information that cannot be bought with money. Jun-ho believes that despite being so-called the Big Six, they still have a lot to learn. Jun-ho plans to enter the second-floor frontier in 10 days, and to prepare himself, he decided to memorize all the information sent by the Big Six. However, he felt like he was the only one working, while the Frost Queen was watching TV. She explained that she was studying human culture. Jun-ho estimated that it would take him 4 days to read through all the information. The Big Six have been assimilating themselves into all corners of the empire for the past 25 years. There are 3 main factions. Silent Moon and Akibi are affiliated with the Imperial family. Labyrinth and Sky Soul focus on gaining control of other regions, and Silver Constellation has control over the Church of the Sun. In addition, the Halm Guild has founded a new mercenary guild that covers the most ground in terms of activity, and is separate from the 3 factions. Jun-ho expresses curiosity about the world of Frontier, which he has never experienced before, and wonders what kind of place it will be. Chae Si-yoon visited Duke and submitted a resignation letter. When Duke asked for a reason for resigning, Chae Si-yoon reminded him of the day she first came to the association. We then see Chae Si-yoon's story. A few years ago, there was a talented healer in the Shumer region on the second floor. They called her a saintess. She spent her whole life helping others, but when she fell into a crisis, no one offered a helping hand to her except one. She tells Duke that she respects him, and Spectre equally, but while talking to Jun-ho, she started to remember her passion that motivated her in the past. Duke congratulates her on finding her own path, and Chae Si-yoon requests to return the magic sealing ring on the day of her resignation. Duke allows her to do so and congratulates her on her return. In Duke's office, Duke expressed concern when Jun-ho revealed that he had made the Big Six compete with each other, and shared the resulting information with him. Upon seeing the quality of the information, Duke's side admitted that it surpassed that of the association. Jun-ho asked about the association's activities on the second floor, and Duke explained that they had been recruiting players and restructuring their information network to expand their influence in Frontier. However, the association was struggling to catch up to the Big Six, who had already established dominance over the most valuable areas after 25 years, leaving the association to the outskirts. Jun-ho suggested making a significant contribution in a war, but Duke explained it wouldn't be easy. Jun-ho then revealed he would be going to the second floor in a week. Duke felt ashamed that they couldn't provide more support for Jun-ho, but Jun-ho comforted him, saying they had already done enough, such as providing him with a new identity, player license, equipment, and lodgings. Jun-ho expressed his gratitude for everything the association had done for him. Jun-ho saw Chae Si-yoon at the association and asked why she was still there. Chae Si-yoon replied that she was helping the president sort through some documents, but Jun-ho questioned why he was making her do it, and said he would need to discuss it with him. He then advised her to go home since it was getting late, and bid her good night. Duke came out and saw Jun-ho, who questioned Duke about why he was making Chae Si-yoon work late. Duke remembered that Chae Si-yoon asked him to keep her resignation a secret. He then changed the topic and gave Jun-ho a note with Arthur's address, Gilberto's son, and suggested that he should find and help him. Jun-ho was unsure if Arthur would remember him, and Duke asked if he would be meeting Arthur as Spectre, but Jun-ho hadn't decided yet. Jun-ho went out to buy some food and was unaware that someone was watching him. When Jun-ho was walking back, he was surprised to see someone who he assumed was a high-level player. Cal Siner took out his bow, Final Horizon, and suggested they go somewhere else to fight. Jun-ho was confused as to why an archer would confront him at close range and questioned if Cal Siner had made a mistake. Cal Siner remarked that Jun-ho was wrong, stating that the rule only applies when both sides are evenly matched in skills. Cal Siner then threatened Jun-ho with the civilians near them and insisted that he should come with him unless he wanted everyone to die. Cal Siner and Jun-ho moved to a secluded area. Cal Siner praised Jun-ho for not fleeing and gave him 2 options: to put on magic restraining handcuffs and follow him, or for Cal Siner to cut off Jun-ho's legs and drag him. Jun-ho felt the weight of Cal Signer's magic and realized what it was like to face a level 100 ranker. Junho suggested a third option during their confrontation: to bury Calciner in the area. This angered Calciner, who attacked immediately, but Junho was able to deflect his arrows. Calciner was confused about how a rookie like Junho could do this. Junho explained that there are things in the world that go against common sense, and that he was just one of those things. Calciner admitted his mistake, realizing he had underestimated someone who had cleared a one-star gate on his own. Calciner acknowledged that Junho had reached a level where no one could go against him on the first floor, and that once he reached the second floor, he would climb rapidly. He realized that Junho was much more talented than he had initially thought, and that he had the potential to stand on equal footing with the Nine Heavens. Calciner felt it was a shame that a talented person like Junho would die by his hands, and he fired multiple arrows at Junho, who struggled to dodge them. Junho then realized that Calciner was controlling the arrows with his magic and filling the area with a thick layer of his magic, which was slowing down his movements. Junho realized he couldn't afford to get hit, so he activated Booster and destroyed the incoming arrows. Calciner acknowledged Junho's skills and decided to go all out. Junho sensed a shift in Calciner's magic from chaotic to calm, and then Calciner fired an arrow that destroyed the area where Junho had been standing. However, Calciner then felt a cold magic surrounding him as Junho activated his veil of darkness. Calciner was surprised to see that Junho had two attributes, and he witnessed his own attack being frozen by Junho. Junho revealed that he didn't want to use his frost skill but had no choice and intended to leave no witnesses alive. Calciner was eager to discover Junho's true identity, and summoned multiple arrows to finish the fight. Junho also wanted to end the battle quickly, as he was overusing his booster ability, which could overheat his brain. So, he decided to force close combat to kill Calciner. Junho charged towards Calciner, who laughed, thinking Junho was eager to die. But he was surprised when Junho disappeared and reappeared behind him using Shadow Teleport. Junho landed an attack, but Calciner twisted his body to avoid critical damage and countered, pushing Junho back. Junho cursed the regeneration abilities of a fiend as he saw Calciner's hand had already returned to normal. To become a fiend, one must drink a demon's blood. However, it is difficult for humans to handle demon powers, so most people dilute the blood with water before drinking it. Despite this, some people drink the blood undiluted for overwhelming power, and the rare few who survive become fiends and gain access to the demon's powers. Calciner commented that Junho's ability to suddenly disappear must have specific activation conditions since he didn't use it right away. Calciner then vowed to send Junho to hell for sure this time. Calciner offered to spare Junho's life if he put on magic restraining handcuffs, but Junho refused and launched an attack. Despite being close to his limits, Junho managed to destroy some of the arrows, but some still hit him. Despite being aware that Junho was reaching his limit, Calciner was surprised to see him charging towards him. As Junho closed in, Calciner managed to catch him, but it was only one of Junho's abilities. Junho then appeared behind Calciner and landed a crucial hit. He commanded his watchguard to consume Calciner, then Calciner realized that Junho was Spectre while cursing Junho and questioning why he hid his identity. Calciner received no response as the shadows engulfed him. The Frost Queen was watching TV when she remembered Junho's promise to come back soon, wondering where he was. Junho used his ability to read Calciner's memories and discovered that Calciner came to the first floor specifically to kill him. Despite being pursued by the High Blade, he became worried that he might get caught up in something due to killing Calciner. From the memories, he found out that the Fiend Association is located in the Shumer region on the second floor, consistent with information he obtained from the Dokabi Guild. He also saw that his confession of the dead skill rank had increased but realized that the skill could not be used on a target whose memory had already been read. As Junho reached for the final horizon bow, he felt a powerful force crushing him, and to his surprise he saw Kim Woo-young, the High Blade of the Nine Heavens' Seventh Heaven. He was amazed by Woo-young's speed, considering that he was still on the second floor, according to Calciner's memories. Woo-young mistook Junho for Calciner and expressed surprise that he had come down to earth. He explained that it was difficult to track Alcina's scent, and the stench of a fiend and the scent of trace incense would always linger on him. He vowed not to let Calciner go this time. Junho tried to explain to Wu Ying that he was not Calciner, but Wu Ying attacked him with an attack that narrowly missed him. Junho realized that Wu Ying was not willing to listen to him, and thought that things were going to get difficult, but he had no other choice. Junho admitted to killing Calciner and called someone. Later, Wu Ying talked with his guild master on the phone. After the call, he apologized to Junho. Junho said it was all right and that he would have done the same thing, but Wu Ying still wanted to compensate him for the inconvenience. Wu Ying healed Junho's wound using an elixir. Junho thought it was wasteful to use a legendary elixir for a small injury, but Wu Ying insisted on taking responsibility for his mistake. Wu Ying expressed his curiosity about how a level 30 player like Junho could defeat Demon Bao Calciner alone. Junho agreed to tell him only if he fulfilled his request to announce that he was the one who defeated Calciner, and never to reveal Junho's abilities to anyone else. He also asked for Wu Ying's help in the future if needed. Wu Ying agreed to help but warned Junho that if his powers strayed from the paths of humans, he wouldn't let it slide. Junho reassured him that it wouldn't be a problem. Junho showed Wu Ying his frost skill. Wu Ying was convinced that it was powerful enough to defeat the demon Bao and comparable to an S-rank ability. Wu Ying recognized that this was the association's key to calming the heat on the third floor. Junho stated that this information can never reach the ears of the fiends. Wu Ying agreed and destroyed the ice surrounding them while stating that an hour ago he defeated Calciner. Junho returned home looking disheveled and was surprised by the sudden appearance of the Frost Queen. She questioned him about his whereabouts, as he had said he would only be gone for a short while to meet his friend. Junho replied that something unexpected had happened. Upon seeing Junho's disheveled appearance, the Frost Queen asked about what had happened. Junho revealed that he had faced Calciner, a fiend much more powerful than any he had encountered before. When the Frost Queen expressed her lack of familiarity with Calciner, Junho elaborated on the fiend's strength, reflecting on his experience. Junho realized how powerful players have become over the past 25 years and how the truly strong ones reside on the second floor, known as the frontier. Despite his strength, Junho was impressed by Kim Wu Ying's pleasant personality. Junho felt that he needed to try harder. He knew that there are only 8 players on the same level as Kim Wu Ying, and one of them is an anime, the King of the Corpses and Natsid Halo. He is the Master of Arma, the Skeleton Mage, and the fiend who ordered Calciner to capture him. Although Junho had prior knowledge about the first floor, he is worried about the unknown challenges that await him on the second floor. The Frost Queen noticed Junho's worried expression and comforted him by patting his head, saying he's been doing well so far. Junho was embarrassed but laughed it off, claiming to be a living legend of the world. And Junho remembered that he needed to say goodbye to some people before heading up to the second floor, planning to go out early the next day. Silent Moon Guildmaster Sun Chiwan was questioning Wu Ying about the Final Horizon's whereabouts. She was irritated as Wu Ying wasn't responding. She asked if he had caught Calciner, to which he replied yes. Chiwan then questioned why he didn't bring back the Bao, which was his actual mission, and asked if Calciner was stronger than he expected. Wu Ying thought that wasn't the case, as he could have easily defeated him. But before he could even arrive, Junho had already defeated Calciner on his own. He believed that since Junho had defeated Calciner, he deserved the spoils, and he had already made an agreement with him. Wu Ying admits that he accidentally killed Calciner before he could take out his Bao. Chiwan is angry and confused about how Wu Ying, who is considered perfect, could make a mistake. Wu Ying apologizes, but Chiwan forbids him from apologizing further and demands to know the real reason for his failure. Wu Ying then reveals that he was able to gain something more valuable than the Final Horizon, the future. Junho went to visit his comrades and discovered that his magic stat was still not high enough to remove the seal. However, he noticed that the message had changed, leading him to believe that he was getting closer to meeting the requirements. While he was there, he saw that the Frost Queen was feeling guilty about what had happened to his friends. He sighed and asked her if they were still alive. She confirmed that they were but that he needed to become much stronger if he wanted to break the seal. Jun-ho turned around and left. The Frost Queen tried to convince him to stay on Earth a bit longer, but he insisted that visiting Duke and Noya before heading to the second floor would be enough. As for his comrades, he reassured her that he would see them again once they were able to meet properly.